I'm speechless. I have nothing to say today.
Okay, you are live. Hello. So, got the slave here with me.
Hello. It's good
The
to be
editor.
back. Yeah.
The big.
Less pressure this time. I don't have to present anything. I have to host nothing. Yeah. I should have done our last streams so much differently, but it's fine. It turned out okay. But
We didn't get banned. It's okay.
yeah,
know?
it's like that was definitely a big worry going into it. But yeah, you mix me and the topic. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to go through a lot of the Talmudic stuff today. More of the obscure random stuff that I think is funny. And then we'll read through a lot of Avodah Zarah so people can see. And then if there's any questions in the chat, we'll go through like a more of a Q&A type setup for this. Yes.
Okay.
And then whether or not we get someone else to join, that's going to be its own question.
Real.
We might get one or two other people to hop on the call with us. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. So
yes. I put this in chat a while ago.
Yeah, prepare your butts. Yeah, we'll probably. Yeah. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Question: is this the same presentation you used on David Wood's stream, or is this a different?
Yes.
Yeah.
Although for some reason, whenever I uploaded it to StreamYard, it's spazzing out. Let me try to upload this different way.
Yeah. Tad bit.
Google Slides.
Wonky.
I mean, I can always just share my screen with it up. I just didn't want to.
Yeah, true.
But yes, we will be going through many of these things, man.
Yeah.
Select. Let's see if that's any better.
But
that's gonna be processing for a little bit. So while we're going through that, I found this last night. Let me see what you think on it.
Okay.
So let me just zoom in so people can read. Okay, so this is in Shemot Rabbah 22, and we have an interesting little thing here. So, do you remember what Allah looks like?
Yes, the one we're thinking of, right, with the two shins. Or the two right hands, the shin of Allah.
Right. The genitive.
That's great. Wow, bro, that's like pig. That's like pig level. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Well, yeah. Statue of Allah, yeah. So I'm surprised Google Images is showing it. Talmud Goy.
Bro. My name is Chris Nye, Talmud Goy.
Oh, bro, it's so good.
The word is gone. Amen.
Bro, I love his. I don't know. I need to look at bro's name real quick. It's like every time I see that Club Penguin profile picture, I know who it is.
Oh, nobody watching? Yeah.
Yeah, bro. It's like I've seen him a few times. It's just so I love it so much. But yeah, so I do remember what Allah looks like.
Yes. Okay, so here and we have Allah, the two-armed one. So another matter, the waters will return. Rabbi Yohanan said, when the last of the Israelites ascended from the sea, the last of the Egyptians descended into it. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says, for these and for those, the sea was closing in on them, all four directions. Moses said to the Holy One, blessed be he, what shall Israel do? He said to him, you need not ask. Why? It is because I will perform a miracle on their behalf. At that moment, the Holy One, blessed be he, extended his hand and took them up from the sea. As it is stated, he sent from on high, he took me, he drew me up out of many waters. Rabbi Bahum said, this is analogous to one who saw marauders coming against him, and his son was with him. What did he do? He took his child in one hand and battled the marauders with the other. His son said to him, Father, may I never be without these two hands, one that holds me and one that kills the marauders. So there's two hands here that are being used.
Yes.
So too Israel said to the Holy One, blessed be he, let there be peace upon your two hands, one that rescues us from the sea and one that would toss the Egyptians. As it is stated, your right hand, Lord, glorious in power, your right hand, Lord, shatters the enemy.
Wait.
How many
So
right hands are there here?
so he put two, and you know that because he made a distinction
Uh-huh.
of the roles.
Uh-huh.
So one of them, glorious in power, whatever. The other one shatters the enemy.
Uh-huh.
But there's two right hands. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's very,
Okay.
very, very interesting.
Right. So let's keep going.
Okay.
The right hand, O Lord, glorious in power, thy right hand dasheth in pieces the enemy. Why is thy right hand repeated in these verses? To indicate that when the Israelites do the will of the omnipresent, they make his left hand to act as his right hand, but as if they fail to do his will, as though that were possible, they make his right hand to become his left. As it is stated, he hath drawn back his right hand. So, most of the rabbinic writings on the God's hands have the left hand with the telephone wrapped around it for like the prayer cloth, or like an image on it. Most rabbis talk about his left hand as if it actually exists, but there's a lot of places where it alludes to it not existing, which
Yeah.
is interesting.
But
So you
yeah.
have that. Why is it repeated twice? Because his left hand will act as if it's a right hand. Well, earlier in the Jerusalem Mishnah is what this is. Verily, your right hand, O Lord, is grand in power, your right hand twice. When Israel do the will, like this is the
Yeah, basically.
yeah, it's the Jerusalem text is fairly broken. The translators do their best to make it work, but a lot of these are like word for word translated and they don't make a lot of sense. Kind of like if you were to do a literal translation of the Arabic of the Quran, it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So it's similar in that layout.
And
When Israel,
it was
go
obviously
ahead.
written as well in ancient Hebrew, I'm assuming. So they were
Yeah,
making, yeah. So this is like they're trying to make a literal like translation as close as possible. So
pretty
it's not
much.
those, yeah, a bit wonky.
Yeah. So when Israel does the will of the Lord, they, as it were, convert the left to the right, and they do not do the will of the Lord, they convert the right to the left. Viz. He has turned back his right hand before the foe. So if Israel is doing the will of God, he has two right hands. And it's stated directly that his right hand shatters. So he has two right hands explicitly in it, which is pretty awesome. You have another one in Rabbah 24. So if I go back to 24, and then this is in it doesn't say. Okay, hold on. Right. Ooh, that didn't work.
Yeah, this is this is worse than I thought it was.
Yeah. So
I could see yeah.
this is in Rabbah 1. Yeah, 24:1. So Moses led Israel, so what do you thus requite the Lord? Rabbi Shahish, son of Rabbi Abba, would write the head below it and the lamed above it as though it would say da 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 da. He performs two miracles. He submerged the Egyptians into the sea, and one of his hands was submerging them, and one of his hands was rescuing you. As it is stated, your right hand, Lord, is gracious and is glorious in strength. Your right hand, Lord, smashes an enemy. So again, this Exodus 15:6 passage is explicitly saying that there are two right hands, and Rashi, in his commentaries on Exodus 15:6, affirmed that he does have two right hands. So two right hands coming from
the Jews, yeah. I can see
the
it's very
Yehudis.
much see the influence, yeah. Yeah, it does it's getting worse and worse. This actually reminded me of something I found out recently, or I've forgotten about it before. But yeah, this Talmudic Islamic thing is,
Yeah.
this has been very, very interesting. Like just in general, because obviously Chris has been slaving away at this for, I know I'm called the slave here, but he's actually been slaving away at this for the past like however many months, 2-3 months at this point. And we just keep finding new stuff, and it's been fun. But yeah, man, it's insane. This actually, yeah. Again, tracked again? No, okay. Good.
What was
Getting tracked again, I say.
that? Oh, no. We're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
We're fine.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah, so
me open this.
I found out because
But-
we're speaking about Islam. This came to mind. In terms of historical inaccuracies, specifically in that way, I'm trying to find the exact verse, but Pharaoh threatened the Egyptians of crucifixion at some point, but
Mhm.
crucifixion didn't exist at that time. So
Mhm.
how did Muhammad, like, how did it, yeah, like, how would Islam think that when the timeline didn't add up? So it's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna find the exact verse, but that was like one of them.
I
I
mean,
saw this today.
the histories of Pharaoh just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just Hammon. Like Hammon is a Persian name. He's from Persia. It's from the wrong king. It's from Artaxerxes, I believe.
Yeah.
You have just the entirely wrong setup for Pharaoh's court. But within that, you also have him doing crucifixion. You have the Tower of Babel. You have Moses having an army fighting against Pharaoh.
Yeah.
You have a lot of really weird, random stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
So why include any of it? And it's probably just because he got history wrong. He thought all of world history was way shorter than it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
It
All right,
was-
let me see what you think of this. I know you don't study the Quran that
Yeah.
much. Let's see what you think of this.
Yeah.
So the Mishnah states, however, if they sold a Torah scroll, they may not use the proceeds to purchase scrolls of the prophets in the writings. Similarly, the proceeds of the sale of any sacred item may not be used to purchase an item of lesser degree of sanctity. A dilemma was raised before the sages. What is the halakha with regard to whether it is permitted to sell an old Torah scroll in order to purchase a new one? The Gemara explains the sides of the dilemma. On one hand, since the proceeds are not raised to a higher degree of sanctity by doing so, maybe it is prohibited, or perhaps in this case, since there is no possibility of raising it to another higher degree of sanctity, it seems well and should be permitted. And then it's a very lengthy, long debate. It's Nicholas 17 or 27a. Those who are interested in going through it. But we have here, come and hear a resolution to this dilemma from a Baraita, as Rabbi Bar Hana said that Rabbi Yohanan said, in the name of Rabban Shimon ben Gimel, a person may not sell an old Torah scroll in order to purchase a new one. And we also have another solution to the dilemma. On the same topic, the sages taught in a Barita, a person may not sell a Torah scroll even if he does not need it. Furthermore, Rabban Shimon ben Gimel said, even if a person has nothing to eat and out of his need he sold a Torah scroll or he sold his daughter to be a maidservant, he never sees a sign of blessing from the proceeds of either sale. Clearly, it's never appropriate to sell a Torah scroll for any purpose.
Okay.
So, if you remember from Surah 2 and many other ones, it talks about how the Jews are selling the Torah for a paltry gain. Which is very, very, very common. One of the biggest critiques of the Quran is that the Jews were selling the Torah for a small amount of money.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. That is fairly common in it. I'm trying to find some of the passages here. Yeah, let me bring that back up. You have 279, which is one of the most quoted from the Muslims. And therefore, what are those who write the book with their hands and then say this is from Allah, that they may sell it for a small price? Woe to them and what their hands have written, and woe to them for what they earn by it. So, interestingly, also in this passage, it talks about being able to sell a Torah scroll. Let me actually just bring up this passage. We have this. Let me zoom out a little so I can actually read what's happening.
Real?
I have a verse in any of these. I don't think I do. Unfortunate. I need to save the actual verses too. Okay, let's see. Torah scroll. They sold one. There's an interesting word that's used. I think it's in 20. Maybe it's not. It's an interesting word that's used that needs to be explained within the text itself.
Okay.
And whenever I looked it up, I was like really confused by the word I was trying to use and the meaning of it. But whenever I found it, because it actually is explained in the Gemara what it means. Oh, this one's pretty funny too. Come and hear a resolution to this dilemma from Mabrida, as Rabbi Yohanan said in the name of Rabbi Meir. A Torah scroll may be sold only if the seller needs the money in order to study the Torah or to marry a woman.
To marry a woman. It says, okay. Fair enough. I mean, listen, just got to do what you got to do. Riz was different back then.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, man.
Crazy. Yeah.
Bruv.
Where is it? This one I should have saved. But it talks about how this specific word, you're going to sell it, and then what if you sell it and you accidentally use the money for this?
Yeah.
That thing, whenever I looked it up, was specifically to bribe.
Okay.
So in the context, it was possible to have it be bribe, not bride. So for the woe to them who sell it for a small price, and in Honorable Brian talks about how they were committing bribery with it.
Okay.
So I was thinking maybe the tafsir was also taken from the Jewish context.
That might be like a looser connection, but maybe there's something there, I guess.
Yeah, I need to go deeper into that.
Yeah.
But this whole section is pretty interesting into selling the Torah and what you can and can't do with the money, and whether or not you're sinning by doing so. Yeah. And there are some rabbis here that are like, yeah, you can't do it no matter what, even if you're starving to death. That's what Gamliel said. And Gamliel is like the teacher of Paul, which is interesting. But it's like, even if you're starving to death, you can't sell it for money. So the woe there that the Quran gives in Surah 279 seems like it might be from this passage. There are other places about treating the Torah in low regard and altering the text and doing that.
Does the Torah at any point mention text alteration as well in any way, shape, or form? Did you find anything? Yeah. It does. Okay.
Yeah. So we have abrogation within the Torah, or abrogation in the Talmud. So let me just bring up the Jewish Encyclopedia on this.
Yeah. Yeah, if this was a physical copy, forget it. Forget all.
So I'll just read this real quick. In Deuteronomy 9:1, Moses is described as saying, "What things soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereto nor diminish from it." Taking this injunction literally, the Sadducees and later Karaites rejected the rabbinical development of Judaism, which is part of the contention between the Sadducees and the rabbis.
Yeah.
Or the Pharisees specifically, as additions to and modifications of the Mosaic laws, but the injunction could not have meant that for all future time without regard to varying circumstances. So now this is obviously written in the Jewish Encyclopedia by a rabbi. So he's just, they're explaining, okay, do they actually have the authority to alter the scripture? And they claim to have that authority, yes. So the ancient rabbis claimed authority not only to make new provisions and to establish institutions as a hedge for the protection of biblical laws, like protections against conversion and what you can speak to Gentiles and other things, but under certain circumstances, even to suspend and to abrogate a biblical law. They derive this authority from the passage in Deuteronomy, in which it mentioned is made of a supreme court consisting of priests, Levites, and the judge that shall be in those days. Granted, this judge no longer exists, but they take that passage of the judge that was replaced by the king system and use that as their own stand-in, which, its own thing. But whenever we go down to because this is Maimonides and what he's teaching, I want to go through the Talmudic view, because this is what the Mohammad would have had access to specifically. And in Surah 2 is the only place that the word abrogate actually pops up in the Quran. So if we bring up, we do not abrogate or cause to be forgotten anything of our revelation unless we bring something better or like it. Do you not know that Allah is able to do all things? So this is the context of the Quran we're going to be thinking about whenever we're going through this little bit here. So
You can't have a son though. That's anyways. It's off topic. So I get into that rabbit.
The Talmud. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so the Talmudic view contains the following maxims by which the religious authorities of various periods were guided in abrogating certain laws. The abrogation of a law is sometimes equivalent to maintenance of the law. So if you need to improve the law or update the law or make something like it for the modern time period, you can do so. So we don't abrogate unless we bring something like it. That's the first part. That is to set a law aside is sometimes as materious as to establish it. It is better that a single law be uprooted than the whole Torah be forgotten. So it is better to remove a single law than to live so rigidly that the entire Torah be forgotten. There are times when the duty of working and of working for the glory of God requires the abolition of a law. The court may, under circumstances, decree to be uproot a positive law of the Bible. In citing some examples of suspension and of abrogation of Mosaic law in different periods, one may be recorded from the Bible according to 1 Kings 18:31. The prophet Elijah offered a sacrifice upon the altar erected on Mount Carmel. This was in contravention of the law in Deuteronomy 12:13, which forbade the offering of sacrifices outside the central sanctuary. The rabbis defend the act of the prophet on the ground that it was a temporary measure necessitated by the circumstances. So then it goes through a couple more abrogations within the Bible. Interestingly, we have in the Talmud that the abrogation is equal to or better than it. So you have equal to and you have that it's better. So you have the equal to and better of abrogation specifically in the Chesh or Nahask. You have that here.
Okay.
Abrogation. Yeah. We got a woe, I think, earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mo was trying to make the Quran sound like the Jerusalem Talmud. I don't think it was the Jerusalem Talmud. I think specifically the Babylonian Talmud. Of the majority of the quotations that we see from the Quran, the vast majority of them are Babylonian, not from Jerusalem.
Didn't even know there was a difference between the two, or like that.
Yeah.
Babylon even had the thing.
They're written at different time periods. This is back to why did Pharaoh have crucifixion?
Yeah.
So the Jerusalem Talmud was written first. The Babylonian Talmud was written afterwards. Some of the later Jerusalem Midrash comes after the Bavli. The Babylonian Talmud has been completed. But the vast majority of the Jerusalem content predates or is contemporary to the Babylonian. A lot of the Midrash and Targum that comes later that Mohammad is basing a lot of stuff from, especially the stories, that comes directly from the mostly Midrash of Babylon. And mind you, a Midrash is a commentary or an embellishment of something done specifically by humans, not by God. It has no divine presence in it. It's just rabbinic understanding.
Bruh.
So even if you want to say, oh, the tradition just goes back to Moses, that doesn't work for the Midrash. It only works for the Mishnah. This isn't Mishnah. What I just brought up on screen, none of that was Mishnah.
Bro, what a trusted source. So good.
Right. Yeah. So you clearing verses in the Quran Hadith right here. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're actually going to go through many more. I don't know how much detail I want to go through all of them. I do want to go through more detail than I did with David on some of this stuff. So like, obviously whenever I imported it into StreamYard, it just killed all of the formatting.
Yeah.
But so
see the text. That's all that matters.
You get that.
Also,
the magic letters one is fun.
Yeah.
Hold on. I want people to see how often this happens. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was actually curious about something just in general because I don't think I've asked you this question. Others probably have. When you're doing the research, yeah, specifically on this topic, when you're trying to make connections, how is that done? So do you have the Quran on one hand and or Quran hadith on one hand and then you have the Talmud in another one? Or how is that process of you connecting the dots? Like how are you finding all these connections?
I've read the Quran and I have a
Yeah.
good memory. And whenever something
Okay.
Annoys me or is stupid, I remember it better.
Okay.
And much of the Quran is annoying and stupid.
Okay.
So my own, well, one of my personal Qurans. Um,
Of course you own a Quran
green.
ginger. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
So green color is what I find stupid. Um, so a lot of this stuff, I like. Yeah, that just yeah.
Sticks in
So
your mind.
whenever whenever I find something that I don't like, I want to know where it comes from. So that I just did that a lot, and then it ended up with what we're at today. Basically, just me not liking the way the Quran was written, the content of the Quran, or any of that stuff. So, specifically, actually, in this passage, in what is the light? I don't remember what the light is. Surah 24. In 24:48 or 58, 24:58, I have a big green thing there. I can bring it up on screen real quick.
Yeah.
Because I just closed out my Quran. Let me reopen my Quran. Here's my Quran. So same Quran. Let's go to 24:58. So this one I thought was so stupid that it stuck with me. And you who believe, let your slaves, and those of you who have not come to puberty, ask permission of you 3 times before the dawn prayer, when you lay aside your clothing for the heat of the noon, and after the night prayer, 3 times of privacy for you. It is no sin for them or for you at other times when some of you move about dependent upon others. In this way, Allah makes signs clear for you. Allah is the knower, the wise one. Allah is the knower is also a phrase I hate. So whenever I see this phrase, I'm like, there's multiple levels of annoying. But I was like, okay, whenever you set your clothes aside for the heat of the noon, I was like, what in the world? I guess they get naked at midday to take naps inside their tents. And they do, because it's so hot in the desert, you kind of need to. You don't want to be outside in the heat. You don't want to wear clothing because it's hot. So, hey, I'm going to go get naked. Might go spend time with my wife or something. So you have privacy. And presumably you're doing a prayer during this time period. And you have the dawn prayer, and you have the night prayer, and you have the noon prayer. Well, I was like, okay, that makes sense. And I knew that there was 3 prayers within the Talmud. So whenever I went through the pillars and I got to specifically this passage here, and it says in Berachot 26b4 that there were 3 prayers established by the patriarchs. Abraham with the morning prayer, Isaac with the afternoon prayer, and Jacob with the evening prayer, the night prayer. So I was like, hey, that makes sense. And I just kept writing better quotes. So whenever I'm studying this stuff, I mostly am doing a variety of things. I have the Quran not memorized at all, but I know the general things that are weird. Yeah, the things that stand out to me that don't make any sense, that have some kind of backing behind them, which we can go through a lot of those today. It's going to be fun. So I was like, okay, this is just doesn't make any sense. What is happening? And then I started reading the Talmud, and I started reading multiple sections of Sanhedrin. And I was like, okay, this is just the Quran. It's amazing how similar it is to the Quran. And so then I just started looking up keywords, looking up specific ideas. The research function of AIs helps with finding exact phrases. But then I also search through Sephora. Sephora is actually a really good resource to find specific things. So like here, I searched up mnemonic because for the magic numbers at the beginning of the Quran. So let's go to like, I don't know, the Poets I think has it. Yeah, Tan Sim. You have these magic letters, the mysterious letters at the beginning of so many different surahs, so many different ones.
Mm.
And then I was just reading Sanhedrin, and I accidentally, I wasn't actually reading Sanhedrin. I was reading Biskayim. But I saw that, and I was like, what is happening? But let's just go through how many times this happens in just Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin is just one of 63 books of the Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud.
Yeah.
On the 63 books of the Mishnah. These are the commentaries on the Mishnah. That's what the Gemara is. So these are the 63 books of the Gemara of Babylon. So here's the first one. So the Gemara presents a mnemonic device alluding to the names of Tanaim. This is the rabbis of the Mishnah in the coming discussion. Samech Reish Mem Shin Beit Non Kuf Shin. And they're like, okay, what is the purpose of those? It, I believe, describes it at some point here, or just leaves it, and you can just remember like the first letter of each person's name.
Yeah.
Or it's something along those lines. And then you go to the next one, and then there's another mnemonic device. Here, Shimi, Ushi, Shiva, Zenma. So this is actually slightly different. These are actual words. Then I was like, okay, well, let's just keep going. And they have another mnemonic. Interesting. This one doesn't even list the mnemonic here. But I was like, okay, this is just, it's weird how much this is happening.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another one. So in this case, represented, where is it? 7? In the cases represented by the mnemonic Yod Ayin Lemed Kuf Gimel Mem. Unknown despair, Yush, conspiring witness, Idim, those who are disqualified retroactively, a side post Leah. So again, this has a Yod, this has an Ayin, this has a Lemed, this has a Kuf, this has a Gimel, and that has a Mem. So, and an apostate and a murmur. Which there's death for apostasy in the Talmud, specifically death by beheading for apostasy.
What a coincidence. Yeah.
We'll get to that. Yeah. So, just casual stuff. Just casual stuff.
Yeah.
And then here's that one doesn't have one. That one doesn't have one. I was like, okay, this is weird. Why are there so many of these random ones? And it's used as a mnemonic to remember the ruling, the halakha of the section. So the way the Talmud is using these magic letters is so you remember who, what, when, where, why, and how. It is a mnemonic to understand the ruling of a manner. So you have this mnemonic for these 4 words, and then it should like explain how the 4 words are related somewhere in this passage. So in the Quran, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Yet, whenever you look at it in the Talmud, it has a purpose.
Yep.
It has meaning. You have explanation. Here's another one.
Just threw that in
mnemonic
there.
is Dalet Kof. So you have the Dinim and you have the Birkat Hashem. So you have the blessing of God's name is Baruch Hashem, although it's spelled weird here for some reason.
Alhamdulillah.
Or it's like slightly different one. And then you have the Dinim. And then this also, the Din is the same root as judgment in Arabic in the Quran.
Yeah.
So, you have a lot of cognates that are directly related, the same word between Hebrew and Arabic. And you have these mnemonics to help you understand what's happening within the halakha of these different passages. So there are dozens of these just in one tractate. And if you go to other tractates, I have not actually checked this. I haven't had the time to check this yet. Let's go to just a random tractate real quick. Let's go to this one. Let's see if they have one. So this is me checking this live. I don't know if it actually does. I would not be surprised if it does. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't.
We'll find out today.
I'm just curious. They talk a lot about mnemonics because they use mnemonics a lot. And Sanhedrin is the court system. It focuses a lot more on halakha than this one. Oh, here's one. Okay. I was like, maybe this one does it. It does. It does. So you have the Nun, the Shin, Gimel, and the Aleph. And you have the Nida, the woman menstruating. It's also one of the tractates. It's just called Nida. The maidservant, the Goya. You know, you got Chris Nye, the Goya guy.
Real?
Or the Talmud Goy is what my name is right now.
Yeah.
And then the married woman, the Isha. Ishat Ish is interesting. I think it's just Isha typically in Hebrew. But anyway, you have mnemonics everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one. Yeah. This is not a long tractate.
Yeah.
We found 2. Is there 3?
Oh, someone had a question actually in chat.
4, 5.
Yeah. We got a respect for it. Yeah, man. So he's asking, was Muhammad a multilingual? Like, was he multilingual?
Yeah, so that's in my my presentation.
Yeah.
That I skipped for his stream. So let's go through how he would have actually gotten the Talmud. It's gonna be too small, so let me make it a little bit bigger. So on the left side, you see Muhammad was most likely multilingual. Because in this context, he was a trader.
Trading. And
absolutely, he's a trader.
Yep.
So you have, in that context, especially because we know he went to Yemen, we know he went to Syria, we know he probably went to Persia, but he for sure went to Syria and he for sure went to Yemen.
Yep.
Yemen at that point in time, I think, was still it was not called the land of Sheba anymore. It was under the Hayyamar kingdom, which started out Jewish and then adopted Christianity at the time of Muhammad. So it has a Jewish pagan background, and it has its own language system, which has still its own Semitic roots that have cognates within Arabic, that have religious overtones that are still Talmudic in origin. So you have Ge'ez, speaking the spoken language there, which was some part Ethiopic and a Semitic blend, if I remember correctly. But it's its own flavor of language. So he might have spoken that, or he might have spoken something similar enough to it that he could just trade with the people. Because trading, you have to be able to talk to people.
Yeah.
So he likely knew some form of Syriac. He likely knew some form of Yemeni. He for sure knew Arabic and probably Greek, or because Greek was still spoken widely at that point in time. And he probably knew Persian. And there's Persian words in the Quran. So there's multiple Persian words in the Quran. You have an Ifrit, you have Haman, I think there's a couple others. So you have Persian words in the Quran. You have Greek words in the Quran with the Injil. You have a lot of Jewish words in the Quran. So he's probably multilingual. Most traders and most tradesmen that were on hubs were polyglots in a way. Especially when you grow up with it, it's really not that difficult to become polyglots. So Paul likely spoke 3 to 4 languages, if not more. He isn't like, hey, I speak this number of languages. They would speak more languages back then to what we compared. We're lazy, basically, especially because everyone knows English now. You don't really have to learn other languages.
Yeah, exactly.
But Muhammad was almost certainly some form of multilingual. So even if you're like, oh, he wasn't literate, it doesn't matter.
Because he heard those stories.
And he spoke those languages. So it's like, well, this was in Hebrew, this was in Aramaic, this was in Greek. How did he copy it? What if he just knew those languages? I mean, Arabic and Hebrew are very similar, especially back then. You have a lot more words nowadays in Arabic than you do back then, but it's not that far off. So, yeah.
Oh, this Chris Glaze in the chat disgusts me. Wow, Chris Nye is a really fantastic, intelligent person.
Yeah,
he's not
sarcasm. He's a Muslim.
Yeah. That's true. But did he also speak in tongues? It's okay. I mean, Arabic is, as an Arabic speaker myself, Arabic is pretty much tongues when you're in the zone, you know what I mean? So He definitely did, in my opinion. So that's true. But
Yeah.
Allah.
Letters may represent numbers. Yeah, it's gematria, and gematria was practiced then. It's still practiced now, even with like the Zohar. So like the proto Zohar ideas are still present at that time. Maybe we do for sure have some of the mnemonics meaning explicitly, this word, this word, this word, this word, because it is related to the halak of the law being given, the commentary, the debate being happening right there. He uses a ton of foreign words.
Yeah. Cosmopolitan. Oh man.
Yeah, not that one. It is easy to learn dialogue of other people, but if he could not read or write, how could he copy the stuff? Honestly, just talking to people. You do know how trade routes work, right? Like you're on a long route with someone. You just talk to them. Like, hey, like I'm gonna be traveling with
at
you
some point.
Yeah, I'm gonna be traveling with you for like 6 months. I'm probably gonna talk to you. Just saying. The Quran is nowhere near as sick as the Talmud. I would disagree. The Quran has certain things that are worse than anything in the Talmud, such as 65:4. So, you cannot do that to a child in the Talmud. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Also, just one last thing for sort of saying. Let me see. So, if the author is the same God, wouldn't the holy books will be similar anyways? I mean, if you see new editions, they still carry the same fundamentals of the first edition. That's the issue. So these aren't holy books. That's the whole dilemma in this situation, which is a common misunderstanding of the Talmud. Is that these are like God's words? These aren't God's words. That's the biggest problem, which is the whole point of this. If it were from God, or if it were like from Abraham, yes, it wouldn't be a dilemma. But in this case, the only reason it is because these are debates. These are not like, these aren't God's words. And if you use that as a basis to write your religious text, or you base that on like God, that doesn't work. It falls short. So that's the whole point of the dilemma. But
which I'm pretty sure UGC doesn't understand what he's talking about here. As far as I'm aware, because I did the Rebecca video, the rabbis that are commentating on the age of Rebecca being 3 is from like the 12th century to the like 1400s. It's way later in time. I don't think there's anything in the Talmud that has anything like that, because there's a bunch of places that talk about a death penalty for those who have intercourse with an engaged woman who is a child. Anyone under the age of 12 and a half is not seen as an adult, as a human who you can have intercourse with. So that is just not true. Again, chapter and verse. But yeah, so as Gara was mentioning here, the Mishnah is different. If the Quran was only quoting from the Mishnah, this would be a way stronger case for Muslims. But it's not. It's mostly quoting from the Midrash, which was circulating more in oral culture in the synagogues in Arabia. So the fact that he's not quoting from the holy book, if you want to consider the Mishnah holy, which Jews typically don't, but if you want to consider the Mishnah a holy book, sure, that's fine. That might not be a problem whatsoever. I don't actually think the Mishnah exists. I think it was still made by rabbis. But let's say their Isnad chain is true, that there is an unbroken chain through the Great Assembly from Moses to Judah the Prince. Let's say that happened. The Quran's still not quoting from that mostly. It's quoting from the commentaries on it. So even if you want to say the Mishnah is a holy book given by God to to Moses, the way that Islamic narrative believes that there was an oral book given to Moses written down later in time, you still do not get to what you need as a Muslim for Islam to remain true. You just don't. They're quoting mostly from the rabbis, and that's the big problem. Yeah. So would it be because I heard the argument that he may have learned specific words like Injil and Evangelion, but him being illiterate is that he wasn't fluent? Again, I think he would have a working language, like a working, because the Romans and the Constantinople, I can't think of the name right now, or some Byzantines. The Byzantines still existed, and they still had Greek and Latin. He would have had some influence from those spheres. Whether or not he was fluent, that's its own question. But yeah, let me go ahead and reading some of these comments. I think it's 65.4. 65.4. And for those among your women who are past the age of menstruation, if you doubt, their period will be 3 months, along with those who do not yet menstruate. And for those who are with child, their period will be 3 months. So this period is the iddah. It is the waiting period to be remarried. So why is this a problem? It's only a problem if we bring in other context on what the Quran says about the iddah. So, and if you, oh, you who believe, if you marry a believing woman and divorce them before you have touched them, then there is no period that you should reckon, but provide for them and release them honorably. So, according to Surah 33:49, if you don't have intercourse with a woman, there is no waiting period between marriages. So the fact that 65.4 has a waiting period for those who have not yet menstruated means that these are children who had intercourse with adults and got divorced and got remarried. They had to do it again. That's pretty, no, you don't find that anywhere in the Talmud, man.
Then why is this Christian trying to defend the Talmud?
Why is this Christian trying to defend the Talmud?
I don't know if this is like defense of a Talmud necessarily, but yeah, it's...
No, I'm not necessarily defending the Talmud.
Also a critique on Islam's base.
Right.
They're using.
I think the Talmud has a ton of stuff that I hate.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Talmud is good. I don't understand that critique. Like, the Talmud is full of things that I extremely dislike. Does that mean it's good?
Yeah.
No. Am I explaining it because it's good? No. I'm explaining it, I'm reading it to see what Jews believe and to see the source of the Quran.
I think he missed the funny hat you're wearing. That's what the tiny funny hat. Yeah. It's like, yeah, man. That was our other that was the other friend of ours.
The Quran does not talk about abuse on children. I just read the passage, my guy. Do you take that back?
By the fruits,
so
you should
it's
know
the
them.
divorced period of women who had not yet menstruated. Anyway. Yeah. It's just this Jewish guy LARPing as a Christian line.
Oh, hey man. Yeah, bro. This is. There are a lot of I mean, listen, it's not just through text. There's quite a bit of similarities between the two. Yeah, it's very valid.
Yeah, I mean, the Quran is not well written. It's decent quality Arabic in many places, and then some places the Quran's quality drops to basically zero. And even scholars of the Quran, like, yeah, this verse doesn't really make any sense. So that's why, like, there is legitimate concern within the scholar like in the scholar tradition within Islam, that the Quran is not properly translatable because certain sections of it are not understandable in Arabic, let alone in a different language. You can't actually get you don't understand the original base meaning. You don't have any meaning past that point. Yeah. Anyway, okay, keep going. No one is defending the Talmud here.
Bro. Yeshua of Nazarene is burning in accordance to the Talmud. We don't agree with that. It's like that's false.
Do have this here, so I'll bring that up. Oh yeah, so he was right. Let's bring that up. We do have this, and this is what Rashi's talking about. A girl who is 3 years old and 1 day old, whose father arranged for her betrothal, is betrothed through intercourse, as the halakha status of intercourse with her is that of intercourse in all halakhic senses. And in a case where the childless husband of a girl 3 years old and 1 day dies, if his brother, the Yavam, engages in intercourse with her, he acquires her as his wife, and if she is married, a man other than her husband is liable for engaging in intercourse with her due to violation of the prohibition against intercourse of the married woman. And if she is impure due to menstruation, she imparts impurity to one who engages in intercourse with her and then renders impure all the layers of bedding beneath them. I was talking about the blood whenever you pop up cherry.
Yep.
Do-do-do. Gross, man. There's a lot of really gross things in the Talmud.
Oh,
rather just like placing a finger into the eyes. Crazy work, man.
Bro.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're not defending it. It's like
so. This is actually one of the things I had in the Rebecca video. The hymen returns to its original state, so you can actually like take the virginity of a girl at that age. Between their opinions and both. So the part of the problem is that's probably just the opinion of one rabbi, and the other rabbis are going to disagree with him. It's going to go through a lot of stuff. I'll look into this later.
Yeah. Talmud's big, man.
It is.
It's not there's a reason we're not doing a physical copy, like it's research on. No room on the bookshelf. But yeah, so
the last clause of the Mishnah teaches that if the girl is less than that age, younger than 3 years and 1 day, is like placing a finger in the eye. Gross. Again, I don't like the Talmud. I don't think it is a good book full of good, wonderful truths from God. I think it's a man-made book that is depraved in many ways, and other ways it's kind of silly. So I wholeheartedly condemn the Talmud.
Which should be problematic for you as a Muslim, because you guys are copying this. So that says more about your faith than it does, like, we're not defending the Talmud, but your religious book has taken many aspects from this piece of literature that you're condemning. Bro, the line is very slim. Don't end up in Jahannam on accident, bro. That's all I'm saying. Because a lot of your book has taken this as their source. And this is the whole issue with this entire dilemma. This is the reason we're covering it. We're not defending the Talmud. We're just showing the amount of connections there are between the Quran and the Talmud. So it's not the only thing it is.
RJ here says that 20% of the Quran is dark, incomprehensible. It's estimated that there are 2,500 grammar errors in the Quran. I watched one live video where we just gave up after 30 to 45 minutes of going through them.
And the other 80% is taken from the Talmud.
There's a book on the quality of the Quran in Arabic. Giant Dusi sent it to me. I have not gone through it yet. I was just gonna have like Google Translate, go through it, and hope that it still makes sense. 'cause I'm not fluent. I don't read Arabic well enough to go through it myself yet, at least. But it's pretty incredible. Yeah.
1 second as well. Actually, yeah, go on. Because I was did yeah, not mine. Continue. I'll just that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go to shirk, because this is one of the really common ones with the Quran. Like all over the Quran, it talks about associating partners with Allah. This is directly from Shotef, as I bring out here in a bunch of different places. I can't actually highlight with my mouse, which is very frustrating on
Oh, that sucks.
slides.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can change that, but that's something that they should figure out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's the only solutions, like stream the screen and you like do that instead.
Yeah.
But that's like, yeah.
I could do that.
Or can you do that like just the app itself, or like the, you know what I mean? I don't know if you're doing it, but
yeah, I can do it this way.
But
the only problem with doing it this way is
if you put it in presentation mode.
No, it's I have to stop sharing my screen with this to jump back to the other one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So we have associating partners with God, specifically the Shitef. Now, the systemized ideology of Shitef, of partnership with God, was developed in the medieval time period. So what most Jews would understand as the idolatry of associating partners with God, that was systematized and condemned mostly by the medieval Jews, people like Rambam. But this word itself appears right here. This is shotef or shutef. So in this section in Tosta and in Sanhedrin later on, this is Sanhedrin right here, we have that the sages teach in a Beretta that Adam, the first man, was created on the Shabbat Eve at the end of creation. For what reason was this so? So that the heretics will not be able to say that the Holy One, blessed be He, had a partner in the acts of creation. The idea of a heretic, a kofar, and the partner, the shutaf, what you're doing there is committing shirk by associating a partner along creation to God. And it's the worst thing you can do. Those who do it are going to hell no matter what. So this is an unforgivable sin in the Talmud, as far as I can tell. There are I'm not sure if this is what that's written about, but yeah. Who wrote half your New Testament? You mean Jews? Jews wrote all of it.
No, he's talking about, so he replied to someone. I was like, you mean as Paul teaches? Paul
no, he's just
never met Jesus?
Yeah.
Bro,
you just an interesting guy, man. Anyway.
Yeah. But
yeah. So kofar and kafir are used the same way. And I love this passage in Sanhedrin 90a at the bottom. Where we have specifically here, this here in the Hebrew is kofar or kafar.
Okay.
So that's kafar here.
Kafir.
These are the ones who are denying, and then this word means the resurrection of the dead. So you are a kafir by denying the resurrection of the dead. So why is one punished to that extent for saying that there is no resurrection of the dead derived from the Torah? The sages taught in a Berita, he denied the resurrection of the dead, therefore he will not have a share in the resurrection of the dead. As all measures dispensed by the Holy One, blessed be He, to His people are dispensed measure for measure, i.e. the response is commensurate with the action. This gets into God not being a tyrant, which is talked about a lot. You also have similar words with the kafrim and the Avodah Zarah, the idolaters, those who worship foreign gods. So you have death for apostasy, and what apostates are here. Man, I need to move my camera. It's in the way. So. Set. Looks like it's mostly just him freaking out. John Cena's friend. What in the world is this guy on
become the
about?
primary source of John Cena, bro. No one from Islam even met Jesus, and the Quran talks about. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
who should I trust? Someone from after 600 years that's talking about the figure that you claim to be Isa, by the way, or people that are much closer to his timeline that at least met someone that knew Jesus. You know, it was somewhere like similar. You can't apply that logic, bro. It doesn't work.
Yeah, so here's an agnostic who's like, can we all just agree Jesus was dope? Yes. Jesus is based.
You can be
Jesus is
atheist, you can be Muslim, you can be Christian. Everyone agrees, unless you're a Satanist. Everyone agrees Jesus was kind of a chill guy, even if you don't believe in him. Like,
Everyone loves
there's
Jesus, man.
examples of that. Yeah, man. Like,
He's great.
yeah.
Actually, the direct revelation of God being the Quran is actually from the Talmud. So let's bring that up real quick.
Oh, bro. It's okay.
So it's
just everything's from this song. I thought that 80% figure was an exaggeration, bro. It's like,
okay.
It might be realistic.
So let's go through the mother of the book stuff.
Yeah.
Another matter, Iman means artisan. Uman. The Torah is saying, I was the tool of the craft of the Holy One, blessed be he. The way of the world is that when a flesh and blood king builds a palace, he does not build it based on his own knowledge, but rather based on the knowledge of an artisan. And the artisan does not build it based on his own knowledge, but rather he has sheets and tablets by which to ascertain how he should build its rooms. How should he build its stores? So too, the Holy One, blessed be he, looked into the Torah and created the world. So the Torah, in the Talmudic sense, is a document given to all the prophets from generation to generation. It contains the information of creation, and it is pre-eternal. It was created several thousand years before the earth was made, and God used it to create the universe. So, and then we also have that they are from Adam, and so this verse teaches that the Holy One, blessed be he, showed Adam every generation and its Torah's interpreters every generation and its wise ones. When he arrived at his vision of the generation of Rabbi Akiva, he was gladdened and then saddened by his death. So this is also teaching that the Torah has the same information from the start of it to the end of it. Like all prophets are inside of the Torah from the Talmudic worldview. We have in the Dirum 39b, also Bereshit Rabbah, the Torah preceded the creation of the world by 2,000 years. So specifically 2,000 years. Now in the Hadith, it says that the Quran was created 50,000 years before creation. So why the number changed, who knows? Then we also have in the Dirum, 7 phenomena were created before the world was created. They are the Torah, repentance, the Garden of Eden, Gehenim, the throne of glory, the temple, and the name of the Messiah. The name of the Messiah. We have in the Quran that the Messiah is a spirit of law. He is the word of Allah. He has all these interesting properties. And we also get that the glorious is on a preserved tablet in heaven with Allah that was created 50,000 years before him. So the Torah is with God, and yet it's not. That's not actually the exact one I wanted to bring up. Let me bring this up real quick. I have so many of these now. Is this one it? No, that's the tablets carrying themselves. Queen of Sheba, Solomon, Joseph, children nursing. This one's fun. We'll go through that today. So, where is that message? Wanting. I need to order this better. Memorize where everything is. I can search, can't I? It's gonna take a little bit. Oh wait, what's that? No, it shouldn't be. Okay. So we have the oh, here it is. So the Quran's origins. So this is exactly what he was talking about with the belief that the Quran is dictated by God and it is, all that stuff. So we get in the Jerusalem Mishnah, or the Jerusalem, I believe, I don't remember if circulating is Talmud or not. Quickly look that up. It looks like it's Talmudic, and it is Gemara mostly. Okay, not Mishnah. So in the Gemara here, we have the Torah, which the Holy One, praise be to him, the Subhanallah, gave to Moses, was white fire engraved in black fire. It was fire mixed with fire, hidden from fire, given from fire. That's what it's written. In Bava Barta, we have, rather, until this point, the Holy One, blessed be he, dictated and Moses repeated after him and wrote the text. From this point forward, with respect to Moses' death, the Holy One, blessed be he, dictated and Moses wrote with tears. You also have that kitab, the word for book, comes directly from Aramaic and Hebrew. So the book given to Moses is directly in the text here. He wrote the book. So this is kitab, but it could be just as easily translated as kitab.
Yeah, kitab. I mean, that's book in
V
Arabic as well.
and B are the same between Hebrew and Arabic, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is really kitab and kitab.
Yep.
But, yeah. So that's fun. Yeah, this is the problem. The Talmud is literally just rabbinic opinions that Jews take as super holy. They don't take it as super holy, first off. But that's the problem, because the Quran is quoting from it. What do you do with it? The Quran is getting its material, its understanding of all this stuff from it. If we just go through a bunch of examples, it's going to become more and more obvious.
Yeah.
So you have the magic letters, you have the Shahada. Let's just keep going through them. So is the death for apostasy? So an idolatrous city are executed in this manner. Let's go big screen. These are transgressors and those who are killed by decapitation. The murderer and the people of an idolatrous city. There is difficulty granted. The people of an idolatrous city are executed in this manner, as is written concerning them, you shall smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword. This is nechat. And that is the same Semitic root as dalin, which is those who are led astray, specifically in the Quran. So this is those who are led astray are going to be decapitated by the edge of the sword. So death for apostasy. Here's another one for death for those who cause people to leave the faith, for inciting against it. Maybe you could say causing mischief in the land. With regard to the case of an inciter, which is Masit, which is Mufsid, I believe is the one for who incites inside of Arabic. Listed among those liable to be executed by stoning, this is an ordinary person, not a prophet, and is referring to one who incites an ordinary person and not a multitude of people. What does the inciter do? He says there is an idol in such and such a place. Also, I love the such and such because the hadith do this a lot. In such and such a place, which eats like this, drinks like this, does good for its worshippers like this, and harms those who do not practice it like this. The Mishnah states a principle with regard to the halakha of an inciter, with regard to all those mentioned in the Torah who are liable to receive the death penalty. If there are no witnesses to their transgressions, the court does not hide witnesses in order to ensnare or punish them, except for this case of an inciter. So inciting against Judaism is so bad. If you're leading Jews against Judaism, if you're trying to convert Jews out of Judaism, it's so bad that the Jews can actually lay a trap and incriminate you for this sin and then give you the death penalty. Kind of interesting.
Very familiar.
This is one of the worst sins you can do is to incite the ummah, which is also the word for people in Hebrew, the ummah against God. The Mishnah continues, if their inciter is cunning and he knows that he cannot speak in front of two men, the court hides witnesses for him behind the fence so that they will not see him. So this is literal entrapment. And the man whom inciter had previously tried to incite says to him, say what you said to me when we were in seclusion. And the other person, the inciter, says to him again that we should worship the idol. He says to the inciter, how can we forsake our God in heaven and go and worship wood and stones? If the inciter retracts his suggestion, that's good. But if he says this idol worship is our duty, this is what suits us, then those standing behind the fence bring him to the court and have him stoned. So you have death for inciting people. You have different types of death. You also have Arman. This one is an interesting one. So all of the cognates are kind of coming to head here. Yeah. There's a lot of can't tell who is who in the chat. So if you see anything interesting in the chat, let me know.
Okay,
like
yeah. No, I'm just because I don't want to like disrupt the thing, so I'm just fun. But yeah, there's one about Jesus being white or something. No one has made that claim at all. Just because he was Middle Eastern doesn't mean he was like Muslim or in any way, shape, or form. But yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah. In fact, what
my favorite?
Yeah. So, well, what does the Quran claim about Isa's race? I know they don't say he's like white or Arab or anything, but I don't know if they describe him in any way, shape, or form.
He's
kind of curious.
Son of Mary. He's a Jew.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about his complexion. I don't know if any hadith mentions his complexion. Yeah. It talks about how there's a hadith that mentions that Moses is looking like a man of Al-Zut, which is hilarious. If you remember who the men of Al-Zut are.
Yeah. See about homosexual behavior. Let me not say anything.
Yeah. There's a series of interesting hadiths about Moses where it seems like Mohammad had a crush on him. Yeah, man. Yeah. No, you get one that says that Moses had the complexion of a man of Al-Zut. You also get one that talks about how how Moses was naked. He was chasing a rock that stole his clothes. He beat it with a stick 12 times. And then he stood naked in front of the whole assembly of Israel. And then everyone can see that he was the best that Allah had made, talking about his genitals. So Muhammad explicitly says that Moses' genitals are the best we ever got. And he's called a man of Al-Zut.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the prophets are beautiful. I mean, the Old Testament explicitly says Jesus was not handsome. So, yeah.
True.
Anyway. So, Ottoman. Whenever this is from Rosh Hashanah 17b, which we might just read this whole passage so people can just see, like, how, like, I don't even have to cut out the information from this passage for it to, like, work in this way. It's just all Talmudic and all Quranic. It's amazing. Whenever the Jewish people sin, let them act before me in accordance with this order. Let the prayer leader wrap himself in a prayer shawl and publicly recite the 13 attributes of mercy, and I will forgive them. These attributes of mercy is just a verse of the Bible specifically. The verse continues, the Lord, and it should be understood as follows. I am he before a person sins, and I am he after a person sins and performs repentance. As God does not recall for him his first sins, since he is always God, merciful, and gracious. So, this phrase here, God, merciful, and gracious, is Allah. If you're speaking it in the, like, if you were to speak this as a Jewish speaker in the 6th century, you would say it like Ella, Orchem, Va, Tenachin, or Tenachni, Tagnachnun, or something like that. It's the most gracious one. Both of these are titles for Allah in the Quran. This one, the merciful, the Rahmin, or the Raham, Urkhom, one of those. That is the exact same word. It's a direct cognate with Rahman, the merciful one, the bestower of mercy. So it says Allah, his most common name in the Quran, and then one of his common names in the Quran. This exact phrase is in the Quran in Arabic.
Oh, okay.
So if you just transliterate literally from the Hebrew to the Arabic, this exact phrase is there. And it's talking about the repentance that happens before and afterward. And it gets deeper whenever you look at the full 13 list of mercy. So that verse mentioned the 13 attributes of mercy, and it comes from this passage, which is Yahweh, Yahweh, El Rahim, Nukhnun, Ared, Barak, Afimin, Rav. This is, again, you could say this is like the Lord passage, but this is like large or great or coming. Chesed. Oh yeah, chesed, obviously. Chesed. Man, I just need to practice reading Hebrew more.
Really?
Va'amet nazor chesed lo lapayim? Lapiyim?
Something like that.
All of these are cognates or loose. It's not either direct cognates with some of these, like the Hanan, the generous one, the gracious, the giving. All of these have some level of either direct cognate or the same theological usage between the Quran and the Talmud. So they're being used in the exact same way. I need to obviously practice my reading and my pronunciation, but we have this, that he is preserving, that he forgives iniquities, that he forgives rebelling, he's the partner. It's pretty incredible. And earlier, whenever I read the passages, probably should have mentioned Qadar there.
Yeah.
You have, so in Islamic theology, Qadar is, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, probably not. It's the idea that there is not really free will. There's debate on whether or not you have free will from the tafsir. Some of them are like, no, there is no free will whatsoever. Some of them are like, yeah, we do have free will in the general choice to pick God or not. But other than that, we don't have any free will. So your day-to-day actions, you don't have any free will. Whether or not you're going to choose Islam, you might have free will. According to some scholars, according to other scholars, you don't have any free will whatsoever. So there's a little bit of some interpretation within the different schools of Islam on Qadar, but there is still this idea that God is in control of everything, that there's determinism. This seems to be coming from the Talmud. So Rav Yehuda says that Rav says, 40 days before an embryo is formed, a divine voice issues forth and says, the daughter of so-and-so is destined to marry so-and-so. Such and such a house is destined to be inhabited by so-and-so. Such and such a field is destined to be farmed by so-and-so. This clearly states that these matters, including marriage, are decreed for a person even before he is formed. So, also the so-and-sos and the such and suches, which is fairly common in the D's from what I've read. Pretty interesting. But you have 40 days before an embryo is formed, the divine voice issues and says, this is what's going to happen. That's interesting because like this is before you're even conceived. So if we have free will, how is it that God is issuing this type of thing before you're even conceived, let alone every single detail of your life? So this would line up much more with the school of Islamic thought that everything is settled, it's strict divine determinism, and there's many verses in the Quran that you can make a strong case for strict divine determinism, that we don't have free will. Perk Aviot 3:15 also says, everything is foreseen, yet freedom of choice is granted. So there's also a debate within the rabbinic circles that there is free choice, there is free will, yet it's foreseen. And the world is judged with goodness, and everything is in accordance with the preponderance of works. Rabbi Hina said, everything is in the hands of heaven except for fear of heaven. This is, again, part of the Islamic understanding of Qadar, depending on who you follow. So just like as there's different rabbis within the thought of the Talmud on whether or not we have free will, there's different understandings within Islam and whether or not we have free will. And the rabbis' debates here is mirrored in the debates there, which is pretty interesting. Holy wicked people are immediately written and sealed for death. Middling people are left with their judgment suspended from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur. Their fate remain undecided. This might be where Mohammad is getting some of his ideas for Judgment Day with the trial of the fire. So Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur is 9 days. It's from Tishri 1 to Tishri 10. Rosh Hashanah appears to be when and how the Quran understands Judgment Day happening. So, little thing for you. What what is Rosh Hashanah?
I wouldn't know.
Put you on the spot.
Do it. Yeah.
Rosh
No,
Hashanah
yeah.
is the Feast of Trumpets.
Yeah.
It's signaling the new world. It's also, there's a lot of Jews that think it's going to signal the end of the world. So in the Talmud, you get an idea that the end of the world is going to happen on Rosh Hashanah specifically. I don't have this in my slide deck yet. I need to add it. So you have Rosh Hashanah being the end of the world in the Talmud. In the Quran, what you read all the time, anyone who's read the Quran knows, in the Quran, it says that there's going to be trumpets blasting when Allah comes, whenever the end comes. Specifically trumpets. Whenever I was reading through the Quran the first time, I figured, oh, these trumpets are just the return of Jesus. Because the Quran, like Islamic theology, is basically, hey, we have Jesus as the Messiah. He's going to come back. He's going to break every cross. He's going to do all these things. So their eschatology involves Jesus as Messiah. The eschatology of the Talmud also includes Messiah. They just don't believe it's Jesus. And the eschatology of the Messiah in the Talmud is mirrored in the Quran. So here we have Rosh Hashanah, trumpets blasting the shofar, the blast of the shofar, ushering in Judgment Day in the Talmud. And the exact same thing is happening in the Quran. Dozens of places. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, Chris, it's just one thing. There was one in the comments that said, how can Jesus, let me try to find it real quick. It was a bit up, but so how can he pray to himself if he's the Father and Lord himself? This is basically like about Jesus. Can you go to Hebrews chapter 1, 8-12 real quick? I wonder what that says. And you can clarify it as well, because obviously I haven't.
Actually, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me share logos real quick.
Yeah.
Since I have logos open already.
Flex, yeah. No.
Yeah.
Just a flex.
So which one you said?
Hebrews chapter 1, 8-12.
No.
So
Me.
yeah.
Oh, also, this is the root word for shahada. By the way,
nice.
So here is sahadutha. This means witness. What does shahada mean in Arabic?
I forgot the exact anyway, as an Arabic speaker, but isn't it just a declaration of faith or something, right? That's usually what
it's witness.
Witness. Okay. That was
specifically.
That's usually
the exact same passage, exact same meaning, exact same word. Anyway. Yeah. So 8. But about the Son, he says, "Your throne, O God, will last forever and ever. The scepter of justice will be the scepter of your kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, God, your God, has set you above your companions by anointing you with oil of joy." He also says, "In the beginning, Lord, you laid the foundations of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain. They all wear it like a garment, but you roll them up like a robe, and like a garment they are changed, but you remain the same, and your ears never end." Your years never end, not your ears, which I guess both would be true. We have the new Hebrew is a fake revived language as well. Man, there's a lot of copium in the chat by Muslims.
Bro.
It's ironic.
Battle, man. It's been a good battle between the several words.
So here we have the Father, but about the Son. So this is the Father speaking. Just for a little bit of context. In the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets and many times in various ways, but in the last days, he's spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, and through whom he also made the universe. The Son is the radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of his being, sustaining all things by his powerful word. After he had provided purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the majesty in heaven, Psalm 110. So he became as much superior to the angels as the name he has inherited is superior to theirs. So this is God speaking. So about the Son, he says, "Your throne, O God, will last forever and ever. Therefore, God, your God." So this is God calling Jesus God. In our scriptures.
So is Jesus God?
Yes.
Does he need to claim it when God himself, the Father
Calls
himself,
him God.
claims it of him?
Yeah. Well, he also claims
So-
it of himself.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's again the exact word fallacy. It's been broken many times. We've been over this. But if you want exact words, the Father himself calls Jesus God in our scriptures. So if you want to say, by the way, I saw somewhere in the chat, he said some hadith have been corrupted as well, which is,
Wait.
I don't even know where to start with that, because corruption is literally your claim that the Bible isn't true. And I understand the hadith isn't quote unquote the word of Allah, but that's a danger. If you said that to your imam, bro, I'm just saying it's not gonna end well for you. But yeah,
Man. Yeah.
insane.
Right. Yes. So that comes from Aramaic, which is also in the Talmud. I have not done the full study yet, but the way it's being used of Eid and of Sahuduth. What? You making fun of Eid?
No, sorry. I just, bro, someone in the chat said my balls hurt. I don't know. I saw that. I was like, what? I just, it caught me so off guard.
Man,
I'm
okay.
sorry, bro. Carry on.
That's fine.
It just,
anyway, those are used in the same way. They're used of a testimony of faith. So the Id is used as testimony of faith, and it's used interchangeably with Sa'adutha, which is the root of where Shahada comes from. So, continuing on, only wicked people are immediately written and sealed for death, and only people are suspended for this time period, which is related back to the test of the fire in the Quran. If they merit through the good deeds and mitzvah that they perform during this period, they are written for life. And if they do not do so, if they do not merit, they are written for death. If you try to get out of the fire, you get killed, and so on and so forth. And in Yod Katana says, but rather they depend on life. Length of life, children, and sustenance do not depend on one's merit, but rather they depend upon fate, specifically what God decides beforehand in his book. So you also got the sperm drop passage. So in Nida, there's a lot of stuff in Nida. If you want to go through 16b, it's a lot of fun stuff here. As Rabbi Hanina Bar Papa interpreted that verse in the following manner, that angel is appointed over conception is called night, and that angel takes the drop of semen from which a person will be formed and presents it before the Holy One, blessed be he, and says before him, Master of the universe is a Quranic title. What will be of this drop? Will the person fashioned from it be mighty or weak? Will he be clever or stupid? Will he be wealthy or poor? There's similar terminology in the Quran about how he makes us from a sperm drop and decides what we do. He controls our actions in our lives. So there's a hadith that talks about how if someone spent their whole lives doing pious acts, but yet had their name written in the book of judgment, they would, at the last moment in their life, start doing evil deeds by God's will. So it doesn't matter if you live your entire life intentionally pious as a Muslim. If your name is not written in the book of life as a Muslim, you're going to hell no matter what. You can't change it. God is going to force you to do bad works. And likewise, he says, even if someone like sins their entire life and like has sins of mountains, if they are written for life, in their last moments of life, they will choose to do the good works and the pious acts of God, and he will have mercy on them, and they will be entered into paradise. So whenever God makes us, we have no ability to change it. And that might just be coming from the Talmud. We also have the ministering angels. Now, this is not as explicit in the Bible, but it's extremely explicit in the Talmud. So we have the sages are teaching, and this is in Chiga 16a, 5 through 8. 6 statements were said with regard to demons. In 3 ways, they're like ministering angels. In 3 ways, they're like humans. And the Bria specifies in 3 ways, they're like ministering angels. They have wings like ministering angels. They fly from one end of the world to the other like ministering angels. And they know what will be in the future like ministering angels. The Gemara is puzzled by this last statement. Should it enter your mind that they know this? Not even the angels are privy to this information, or to the future. So the angels are not privy to the future. Rather, they hear from behind the curtain when God reveals something of the future, like ministering angels. In the Quran, we get that jinn and shaitans are trying to eavesdrop on the conversations of God with his ministering angels. That's pretty interesting. So here we have the angels are not privy to the future. They have to hear it from behind the curtain whenever God. So rather they hear it is talking about the ministering angels. So they know what will be in the future. The reason why they know what will be in the future is because they're going up into the throne room of God and eavesdropping on the conversation. In the Quran, the way that Allah deals with that is having stars shoot down the jinn, shoot down the shaitans before they're entering into his throne room in order to listen in on what's happening, what's going to happen in the future. So here, these angels, the demons, the shaitans, which is actually what this word is. Literally, it's shaitans in the Hebrew. So the shaitans are like angels because they can fly, because they want to listen to the future of God by listening past his curtain, and they have wings. So they use the wings to fly. Jinn, as far as I'm aware, can fly. They can enter up and they can try to enter into the seventh heaven where God is, which the seven heavens themselves are from the Talmud. Yep. And in three ways, they're similar to humans. They eat and drink like humans, they multiply like humans, and they die like humans. Okay. In three ways, they're like animals. They eat and drink like animals, they multiply like animals, and they emit excrement like animals. They poop. So here we have demons eating, drinking, and having intercourse and having natural relations in order to produce offspring. That's jinn. Just outright. This is a description of jinn from the Islam. These are the qualities of jinn in Islam. This is what they do. So generally speaking, these are jinn. Pretty weird, pretty wild. There's actually an interesting, I think it's a hadith, which talks about how if you don't say like the Bismillah before you have intercourse with your wife, a jinn will wrap himself around your member and have intercourse with your wife with you, which is a pretty interesting statement. Yeah. You also have the Divine Council, which is a lot in the surahs. I have a list of them here, which talk about the ministering angels and the Divine Council. I just kicked my camera. So nice. Why do I need these instances of plural words? Why does this verse employ the plural at all when referring to God? So in Sanhedrin 38b here, it's talking about how there's like thrones placed before God. There's a lot of verbs that are plural in the Hebrew. So it's talking about why in the world is the Bible using plural words for himself? Why does God need to be a we or a they? And, the Quran adopts that, but like, why does he need that? The Holy One, blessed be he, does not act unless he consults with the entourage of above, i.e. the angels, as is stated, the matters by the decree of the watchers, and the sentence by the word of the Holy Ones. This is from Daniel. They cannot listen to the highest chiefs, for they are pelted from every side. This is part of the stars being a missile defense system against jinn. I had no knowledge of the highest chiefs when they argued. It is revealed to me only so that I might be a plain warner. This is how Mohammad is describing himself. He says, I don't actually know what the highest chiefs are talking about, what the ministering angels are talking about behind the curtain. I've only been revealed to me by an angel whenever he comes down, which also we'll get into Gabriel later on. But here we have explicitly a explanation by the Jews, because they have their same type of tawhid as Islam has. This is an explanation by the Jews that we have a we, because it's the angels with God. So interestingly, you can point out passages in the Quran where if you're believing that the angels are having matters of judgment, like if they're involved in judgment, some of the times where Allah uses a we, you can easily say that it is Allah and the angels doing it, and that's why the we is there. I need to go deeper into this rabbit hole, but I think this is vibes right now. I think we can make a case that the Quran is copying the we language, both because it doesn't understand the biblical language, and because in the Talmud it has these type of explanations for the plural languages of God. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. You also have Iblis coming from Samuel. Samael's theology expands quite a bit later on into rabbinic history, but even before this, he is all over the place. Samael is the angel of death. He also becomes Satan. Here in Bava Batra, it's like explicitly combining them all as one. So Satan, the evil inclination, so like our sin nature, and the angel of death are one. So this is Samael, specifically the angel of death, being called Satan. And the evil inclination, so Satan is the one that tempts us. He's the one that causes our hearts to go after things other than Elohim, other than Allah. So we have, he is, Iblis, what his role is he is the one that tempts the people away from following the way of God. Like the idea of the way also comes from Hebrew. So you have, I believe it's Haderek. So you have the way, and it talks about how those who follow the way will be in everlasting life in the resurrection. So Satan here is the one leading people astray from the way, who is also our evil inclination. He's the one that's tempting us, and he's the angel of death, who's going to like cause our death to begin with. Samael is interesting because of his wife. His wife is Lilith in some of the Midrash on it. And he has intercourse with her, and he is the father of the Satans. Specifically, he is the father of all the demons, the Shaitan. So the demons are offspring of Samael and Lilith. Interestingly, in Al-Qatarbi's tafsir on the Quran, he talks about how Iblis had two genitalia. He had a penis on his left thigh and a vagina on his right thigh, and he would clap them together, and he would lay eggs, and out of the eggs would come 70 she-devils and he-devils every day. So it's like he's producing thousands of babies a year. Interestingly, I think it is the demons are coming from eggs in the Talmud as well. I'll have to double check that. Don't take my word on that. Definitely. And again, double check everything I'm saying. Fact check me. I'm not hiding anything. I'm giving the full quotation. I'm giving as much context as I can to fit on screen. Anyway, so going through Samael, there's a lot of interesting parallels with Samael, and Samael is also in the cow, which I might jump forward to real quick, just so we can go through the cow's narrative with Samael. Yeah. So we also have the eulogy at the end of days. So the Gemara asks, for what is the nature of this eulogy? The Gemara answers, Rabbi Dosa and the rabbis disagree concerning this matter. One said that this eulogy is for the Messiah, Ben Yosef, who was killed in the war of Gog and Magog, or the war of Gog from the land of Magog, prior to the ultimate redemption with the coming of Messiah ben David. And one said this eulogy is for the evil inclination that was killed. So this would be Iblis being killed. The Gemara asks, granted, according to the one who said that the lament is for Messiah ben Yosef, who was killed, this would be the meaning of that which is written in the context. And they shall look unto me because they have thrust him through him, and they shall mourn for him as one mourns for his only son. Zechariah 12:10. So this is actually in the Talmud. This is not related to the Quran at all. I just wanted to bring this up because in the Talmud, this passage is about God being pierced for our sins.
Typology, baby. Yeah.
And here we have Messiah being pierced for our sins. Messiah is God. That's the whole point of Zechariah 12:10. And whenever we bring this up to Jews, they're like, no, that doesn't mean that. Here's a passage in the Talmud that kind of means that. Anyway. Back to the actual Iblis thing. The letters of the term the Satan, Hashatan, in numerical value is 364, which equates to the number of days of the year, except for Yom Kippur, during which he has no power. So Satan has this rule over this world for the vast majority of the time, which is interesting. In the jinn, we created from a scorching fire. And in Yoma, you get that there is a fire that repels other fire. That is the fire of the angel Gabriel. The fire of Daniel relates that Gabriel was an angel of fire. So Reynolds, Gabriel Sen Reynolds, says that the idea that God first created the jinn from fire reflects Christian texts such as the Cave of Treasures that speak of the creation of the devil from fire. I have the Cave of Treasures quoted later on in the slide deck, but we have specifically that Gabriel is made of fire and the devil is made from fire from the Christian text. So you have these beings made from fire, which is interesting. Here is peeing, and while God hates those who pee that way.
Semen's fine though. Semen's fine. Just FYI.
Being covered in semen is fine.
Yeah.
So we have, and this is again in Nidda. So I think the last passage also was in Nidda. No, it's a while ago. 3 people I've hated, and 4th I have not loved. A minister who frequents drinking houses. So if you drink alcohol frequently, God hates you, as he disgraces himself and leads himself to ruin and death. And some say a different version of the text, a minister who chats in drinking houses. And some say a third version, a minister who is short-tempered when in drinking houses. By the way, if you're drinking alcohol, God hates you.
No.
Not drinking alcohol. If you're a drunkard, God hates you specifically.
Yep.
I should clarify my words there, because you're commanded to drink alcohol inside of Judaism. Interestingly, in Islam, you have a prohibition on drinking that evolved over time. There's 4 passages in the Quran on drinking alcohol. 2 of them are benign and 2 of them are negative. So maybe you could say the negative ones abrogated the benign ones. Either way, you have this evolution of theology within the Quran about what it means to drink alcohol and whether or not it's actually prohibited. So, as to do, that is the first that he hated, and the others are the ones who dwell at the highest point of the city, where everyone sees him, and one who holds his penis and urinates. And the 4th, whom he has not loved, is one who enters the house of another suddenly without warning. Rabbi Yohanan says, and that this includes even one who comes into his own house without warning, as the members of his household might be engaged in private activities. Okay. So let's bring up that Surah a little bit. So Surah 24:61 says, no blame is there upon the blind, nor any blame upon the lame, nor any blame upon the sick, nor on yourselves if you eat from your houses, or the houses of your fathers, or their mothers, or your brothers, or your sisters, or your fathers, brothers, or sisters, There will be no sin for you whether you eat or together or apart, but when you enter their houses, greet one another with a greeting from Allah, blessed and sweet. In this way, Allah makes the signs clear for you. That's not actually the one I was wanting to quote. I need to change that in the slide deck. We have that. It's 62 is also continuing. They only are the true believers who believe in Allah and his messenger, and when they are with him on some common errand, do not go away until they have asked permission from him. Indeed, those who ask permission from you, those are the ones who believe in Allah and his messenger. So if they ask your permission for some matters of theirs, give permission to those whom you will of them. Ask forgiveness from Allah. So this is... And this whole passage is kind of stupid. It just keeps going. It's not actually the passage I want. I know there's a passage in Surah 33 about not entering his house. There's a couple other passages about not entering the house of the prophet, which is interesting. And part of the reason why you're not allowed to just randomly enter someone's house is because they might be having intercourse. So this exact same context is in the Quran. I just apparently got the wrong citation there whenever I was searching it. So I will find the right citation and find it later. Unless someone knows in the chat immediately what that citation is. But we for sure have in Surah 33. And in some of the Medinan surahs, like in the 50s, that's one of them. It has that you can't just randomly enter into someone's house. So this prohibition is the same in the Quran. One who holds his penis and urinates is someone who God hates. Interesting. There's like, if you pee improperly, you have the torment of the grave. That might be where this comes from. This one just struck me as silly nonsense. But anyone who holds his penis and urinates, God hates you. If you pee on your clothes, if you pee while standing, God hates you in Islam.
It's like what?
Yeah. So I mentioned this at the beginning, but there's abrogation in the Torah. The idea of abrogation is already from the Torah. I might not repeat this too much. If you want to read this slide, go ahead and read it. You can pause it and come back to it. I might leave it up for a little bit. But this idea, the uprooting here, the lakor, that the uproot of the Torah is not the same word as abrogation specifically. This word up here is more often translated as abrogation. If you run this word through Google Translate, it will come up with some form of abrogate, but it more literally means to remove or to set aside. But we have the abrogation of the Torah is its foundation, as it is written, which of you have broken? The blessed one said, Moses, your strength is justified, which you have broken. So the abrogation of the Torah is its foundation. Abrogation within the Talmud is not always seen as a negative. Sometimes it's seen as a requirement in order for the Torah to continue to stay relevant to modern day, or it is a requirement to expand upon what people are experiencing. So it either removes partly or it improves upon it. So in Surah 2, where it talks about we don't abrogate anything unless we give something similar or better, that's the same kind of type of context we get for abrogation in the Talmud. The seven heavens is one of my favorites. This is also in Haggadah 12b. Okay, I don't know what that guy's talking about. There are seven firmaments, which is also translated as heaven. And they are as follow: Vilan Lacham, or Rakia, Shahakaim, Zevu, Maon, Machon, and Avrot. Practice my Hebrew, man, more. Right, the Gemara proceeds to explain the role of each firmament. And Velon curtain is the firmament that does not contain anything, but enters at morning and departs in the evening and renews the act of creation daily. I took this as there's lots of places in the surahs about how the heaven and earth are chasing each other as they come up out of the muddy pool and enter back into the muddy pool.
Interesting.
Because the Quran teaches a flat earth. So in the flat earth model of the Quran, we have the sun and moon come out of the planet and go back into the planet. And then the stars are in the first heaven. And then you have the planets beyond the stars. So you have this idea, and actually I have a picture still on my computer. I can show what the seven heavens look like from an Islamic perspective. So this is according to the Quran and the Hadith. This is what it would look like. So you have the heaven there, a flat disk. You have seven earths layered on top of it, all flat. You have the mountain ridge. You have a solid sky dome with the stars in it. You have the invisible pillars. And you have Allah holding together the firmament so that they don't crack and break, a la Chicken Little, the sky is falling. So you also have the second heaven with the moon and the sun in the fifth heaven. That I don't think is exactly identical to the Quranic view. This is more so just ancient cosmology of the Near East. But even with this not being explicitly Islamic, this is still pretty in line with what Islam teaches about cosmology, about the world. It has this kind of structure. So we see that similar structure here in the seven heavens of the Talmud. In the first firmament, or in the second firmament, the second firmament, Merkayah, the sun, the moon, stars, and zodiac signs are fixed specifically. So the fixed firmament rotates. So they have a fixed position and they don't go past each other. In the Quran, it talks about how the sun and the moon don't overtake each other, which obviously is false because of eclipses. But you have that type of event happening. Pretty interesting. It is Allah who created the seven heavens, and we ordained them seven heavens. We ordained the lowest heaven with lamps and guarded it. So the lowest heaven with lamps. Now, to be fair to the Jews, they don't interpret anything past the second heaven as actual physical objects. If we bring up this passage in Haggadah 12b, which I can do right here. 12b, 5. If we bring up this passage and how they explain them, let me stream the actual Haggadah. So we have in this section that the curtain doesn't do anything. The next curtain has all the stars and everything else in it. And then the third heaven, Sakayim, is the height. It is the one in which mills stand and grind manna for the righteous, as is stated. So this is spiritualizing it. And open the doors of heaven, causes manna to rain upon the food for food, and gave them corn of heaven. And it keeps going, and then the next one is where Jerusalem, the heavenly Jerusalem, and the heavenly temple are. This gets into like Isaiah 66 and the new earth and the new heaven. And there are the heavenly altar, it's built, and the angel Michael and the great minister stands and sacrifices an offering upon it. So none of the other heavens from the Talmud are literal physical locations, just the first heaven, and which is the sky. And explicitly it says in the sky of the first heaven, which is the atmosphere, like where the clouds are, it says explicitly that there's nothing in it. So Violin, a curtain, is the firmament, but does not contain anything, but enters at morning and departs in the evening, and renews the act of creation daily. So the first heaven, the sky, doesn't have anything. Then outer space is the one that actually has the sun, the moon, the zodiac signs. So the Talmud gets it right where the Quran gets it wrong, importantly. So you have that. Bring that back up. You have, keep going, the final prophet eschatology. It's in a little bit to the eschatology side of it. I don't know if I want to go through that. Oh, I do want to go through the Jibril stuff, man. Okay, fine. Let's go through this.
Yeah. I might jump off after this little thing, but it's good. We're finding more and more though. It's outrageous.
I'm still finding stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Like the stuff about Allah having two right hands, like God having two right hands. If you missed the beginning of the stream, I went over some sources that show that in the Talmud you have at least 6 passages that talk about how God has two right hands.
You guys don't know what Allah's described.
Yeah. I have not found the shin though. I want to find the shin. I have not found a shin. He has two right hands, and he wears a zabiba.
Yeah,
God does in the Talmud. He has the phylactery. He has the little box. So he has the zabiba on his forehead, with 2 right hands, but he doesn't have a shin.
Yeah,
it's very sad.
Very
sad.
Yeah, it's true. Because in Islam it is mentioned. Like I've heard a lot of imams mention it, but I don't know about the Talmud. That's probably just as a but
it's interesting.
Yeah,
and apparently they're complaining about memorizing books.
No, he's actually he's saying because from his culture, obviously I'm assuming it's a Muslim background, not religious, but his actual culture, huh?
You're talking about Marketplace?
No, Valtris. So Valtris is he basically asked like what Bible should I read or like where should I start, things like that. He was that we thought was a Muslim, but it's like
right.
So he was just asking that, and
he
said it's just memorizing. Yeah. NIV, because the reason we recommend those, like it's a lot easier to read because you want to read the King James version, but it is a bit more outdated.
Don't read the King James.
Difficult, that's why it was actually my first Bible, but it was very hard to read. The NIV I really like, so you can read it first, just read the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then if you do want to study it, down the line, if there's any verses you don't understand, you can highlight those and you can look into them. But it's a good place to start. And those are also good translations. But I do agree. Memorizing is, it has its uses, but Islam puts a very deep importance on it when it's not really, it's never going to trump actually understanding what you're reading.
Yeah.
So
actually, that's a really good point that Joe just brought up. I can show that real quick because I have Logos pulled up.
Yeah.
So if you want to pay the subscription for Logos, I bought Logos back whenever when they're having the blowout sale. So if I go to let's go to Isaiah.
Same.
Just go to Isaiah.
I need to use it more.
41.
Yeah.
I have this in the Legacy Standard Bible. So my Bible setup is quite extensive. Whenever I read from the Old Testament, this is what it looks like for me. So I'm a bit of a crazy person. You don't need this many. But here I have it in English, I have it in Hebrew, I have it in Greek, and I have it in Aramaic. And whenever I click on one, it shows me what it is in the others. So if there's direct parallels, although it's not doing a great job right here, because this is the same word as this word, as anyone with eyes can see. This is just Judah. Anyway, so this is Yehuda. This helps me quite extensively with understanding and going through and seeing how they're all related. This is like $10 for the LSB, but you can do this with the NIV. If you have the subscription, you have access to this in the NIV, which is a more readable English. So you can compare the English. And then if I want to know, like, oh, you can't see it on, yeah, it sucks. If you were to right click on this, it has many different drop downs, many different options.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to pronounce it. It teaches you what it means, how it's used in other places. You can look up where that word is used everywhere. This resource for studying the Bible, by far the best. I would never recommend reading the King James Version. Mostly for the fact that it translates words incorrectly. And it has an incomplete codex of the Bible. Like, for example, so the Bible I was using just then was the Legacy Standard Bible. It is the most literal word-for-word Bible on the market. If you want just what does the text itself say in English, that's what it is, but it's very technical. If you want a casual read to understand the meaning of the text, I would recommend the NIV. It does have its own translation problems, but generally speaking, it's pretty good. The King James Version, though, gets the first verse of the Bible wrong. It mistranslates it. So it's pretty good. As far as the 1500s, what you could do with the knowledge we had back then in English, the King James Version is excellent. It is terrible by modern standards because the Greek it's using is incomplete. We have significantly more manuscripts now than we did then. So we can understand more what the Greek was saying. We have so much more data to pull from to get the original meaning of the Greek scripture and of the Hebrew. So we have way more information about what the Bible says by studying the manuscripts we have now, that most of those were done in like the 1800s, 1900s. We didn't have that available back then. We have the Textus Receptus, which is a much smaller set than like the Majority Standard Bible is what that's coming out soon. It uses a lot of Greek, man, a lot, like thousands and thousands of manuscripts. But the first verse in the King James is, in the beginning, God created the earth and heaven. And that word heaven is not heaven, it's heavens. It's shamim. It's plural. The reason why it's plural is because in Hebrew, that is the way you say the universe. So heaven or earth is what we live on. The heavens is outside of the earth. So the earth plus everything outside of the earth is the universe. So if you wanted to say, hey, the master of the universe, you would say specifically, Shemin Vav it is. Like you say Shemin Va it is. Or you'd add your etz in your hazin if you want to say specifically the heavens and the earth and use it as an object marker. But that's how you talk about the universe. So the first verse of the Bible, the King James, gets mistranslated because the authors at that time period didn't understand the languages well enough to do a perfect translation. Our knowledge is significantly better than it was then. King James onlyism is dumb. You can read King James. It's great. If you like that type of English, it's fine. Don't use it as your only Bible. Compare it to other passages, especially passages you don't really understand. Compare it to a more modern English Bible. That'd be my recommendation.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. But I'm gonna make you the sole guy real quick. I'm gonna go pee.
Yeah. Different ones. Bro just left completely. So I'm gonna read the chat. I wish I could pull up some of the chat messages here, but I'm poor. I don't have the moderation plan. So, but it's what is. Let me read what's going on here. Let's see. Respondent was baffled by the KJV only people. Like, English is not my first language, and many old people in my country don't even speak it. Are we still supposed to read KJV? Yeah, no. Like, again, you can read it, but it's when we literally have translations that are better today and more understandable today, you might as well just read those. You know, the KJV only people, it's like, yeah, it doesn't really make that much sense. Especially with like linguistically, I mean, we've advanced so far and things like that. We've we've done so much more work, even nowadays, on a lot of the translations we did have. So that we say it all the time, read the Bible. That obviously there's some translations you need to stay away from, but read the Bible, read the translation you understand the best. um, and that's usually, especially for like first time readers, so that's why we recommend, NIV is a good place to start. The NIV was like my first, I think I have it right there somewhere, but yeah, it's right there. So NIV was like the Bible I use on a day-to-day basis to just read, because it's very easy to understand. For studying, there's other translations for sure. I like the ESV as well because it's pretty easy to read. So there's other translations that you can definitely look into, but just read the Bible that you can understand. So read the translation, I should say, that you can understand. So
I really can't understand any of this.
it's real.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, it is a hard read, but Chris, I might have to hop off, so I'm gonna let you continue. This was a fun stream. Keep going as long as you can, because yeah, it's been very interesting, like in the chat and things like that. So, and if at the end you want to read chats or whatever, you can always do that. But yeah, man. So awesome. This was fun. So for everyone watching, actually, there's one thing. It's yeah. Sorry, go ahead, read that, and I'll mention what I
was
want
just
to
gonna say,
mention.
like, this is very dumb. We have
Oh yeah.
translations from the Hebrew. We have the Dead Sea Scrolls. Do you know about the Dead Sea Scrolls? You should learn about the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Like, brother, like, yeah, with Uthman as well, bro. Like, you're throwing stones from a glass house. Like, with all due respect, like, you've lost a lot of portions of your texts, and not only in war, because the oral traditions you've claimed that
yeah,
you've
mama.
had, yeah, and all the your mama, no, not like that, but yeah, like the memorization that you've claimed to have, no amount of memory is going to be as reliable as scripture will be. So you can say it's been preserved through oral tradition and things like that. That was the culture at the time. It's still not going to be as reliable. There's a lot of stories that are passed down from generation to generation. They're all the time they get misinterpreted because memory fails, ink doesn't. So that's one thing to consider as well. But speaking of marketplace, because he posted a question like a while ago, but he told us like if at some point we could react to, like, apparently Muhammad Hijab did a debate with Destiny or something on atheism, or it was like, I have the screenshot, I'll send it to you after. But yeah, we could probably react to that at some point. I think it was a debate on atheism or something. Apparently, it was filmed today, so it might come out soon. So we'll check it out. Yeah, we'll see if at some point during the stream we can react to it. But that would be fun. But yeah, we're hammering this, like, the Talmudic dilemma a lot right now, because it's a very new thing that Chris kind of, to be honest, he started all this, to be fair. So this kind of his baby right now. So we'll see if we can fit it in somewhere in the schedule to react to some videos, including that one, which it would be a debate. That would be fun. I think that would be fun, especially now that we have a bigger, relatively bigger audience, and there's a lot of debates going on in the comments and all that. So it will be fun. So yeah, we'll see. We'll watch the video and we'll see if we can react to it at some point. But
I saw the debate was today, so we're not gonna be able to react to it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah, so I'm assuming like maybe in like a week or something. So if it was, yeah, so it was today. So whenever it comes out, I'll keep an eye on it for sure. And if we can react to it, we definitely will. But yeah, obviously I can't DM you notifying you or anything, but subscribe over notification bell. Yeah, but all right. So good night, y'all. Good night, Chris. See you, man. Boom. Peace.
We'll see if our other guest comes by today. Invited some other people. See if they come on. So in the eschatology, so the soteriology and the eschatology are very, very, very similar between Islam and Hebrew. Islam and the Talmud. So from the time when Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi died, the divine spirit departed from the Jewish people. There was this patra, this period of no prophets given. and they're considered to be the last prophets. And after the Urim and the Thummim, the get up of the high priest, and the knowledge of God that allows them to connect to God, after that had ceased, and they would nevertheless still make use of divine voice to receive instructions from above, even after this time. This gets into their view of the sages, and the sages being able to receive direct, like divination from God. Even though prophecy had ceased, they still were communing with him in a way. For on one occasion, the sages were reclining in the upper story of a house in Guria in Jericho. A divine voice from heaven was issued to them, and it said, "There is one person among you for whom it is fitting that the divine presence should rest upon him as a prophet, but his generation is not fit for it. They do not deserve to have a prophet among them." And again, on another occasion, several generations later, the sages were reclining in an upper story of a house in Yavan, or Yavni, and a divine voice from heaven was issued to them and said, "There is one person among you for whom it is fitting that the divine presence should rest upon him, but this generation is not fit for it." So the divine voice is likely something akin to the angel Gabriel, and the divine presence is the Shekinah. We have the word Shekinah appearing in the Quran uh, 5 to 10 times or so. And it does mention how the Shekinah came and rested on Mohammad after Gabriel had visited him, establishing him as a prophet. So, this idea of the prophethood had ceased and the divine spirit departed, and then the divine voice comes and receives back the divine presence, you can make a loose parallel to that. And it gets more explicit the more you go into the context of that and some of these other passages we'll get through. So, this is one of the 5 items that was sequestered during this period of time: the ark, the candelabrum, the fire, the divine spirit, and the cherubs. When the Holy One, blessed be he, will in his mercy rebuild his temple and his sanctuary, he will restore them to their place to bring joy to Jerusalem. So there's a lot of places in the Talmud. This is on the Midrash of Bamidabir, which is not Leviticus, Numbers. Leviticus is Vekir. Uh, this is Numbers, Rabbah 15:10, and it's talking about the end times. And in the Talmud, we have a lot of stuff on the end times specifically, where we have so many different passages about what will happen, what won't happen, when it will happen, how it will happen with the end times. So there was this like subset of Jews, of rabbis, that thought the end was nigh, that put in their opinions that the end was nigh. And there are other rabbis who deny that and like, oh no, it's just going to keep going, it's whatever. But there are rabbis who are doing mathematical analysis and deciding that 7,000 years after creation, the world's going to end. So they were trying to figure out when creation happened, and they're doing math and calendars and all that stuff. There's a lot of rabbis that are like doomsday theorist, which is interesting because Islam is a doomsday cult, and appears to be a doomsday Jewish cult, or just like an offshoot of Judaism itself. But in the end times, we get that specifically the divine spirit is going to return to the people. He's going to have his sanctuary, he's going to have his mercy be restored, but his prophecy will return to the people. So we have this final prophethood, not a single individual. So I was looking for a final messenger in the Talmud. I couldn't find it. So that appears to be Muhammad applying it of himself. The closest you get is like Elijah, and his description's there, where Elijah will be the prophet to come. You also have stuff with Balaam, which is a little bit more interesting. I don't think I mentioned that here. Did I mention it before that? You have Balaam being mentioned as a prophet, and that might get into where he got his idea of his own prophethood from, for the Gentile prophethood. No, it's not here. There is uh, ideas of Gentile prophets inside of the Talmud. See if I can find that real quick. Balaam. Balaam. Oh, that's the. Let me actually go back to that passage. The passage is really funny. So this is in the same passage with. I don't know why I stopped sharing my screen there. This is in the same passage with Jesus being boiled in poop. So in Gittin 57a and 2, Uncle has said to him, "What is the punishment of that man, a euphemism for Balaam himself in the next world?" Balaam said to him, "He is cooked in boiling semen, as he caused Israel to engage in lasciviousness." Wow, I can't say that word. Lust behavior with the daughters of Moab. Ibn Kathir says that according to another report, he said that this means a mixture made from boiling water, and someone else said that it means boiling water will be mixed with pus and offensive discharges that will leak from their private parts and eyes. So this passage, that passage in the Quran talks about how they will be suffering of scalding, tepid or fetid water, I believe is the word for it, how it's translated. But it literally means like pus water, or water, and Ibn Kathir says mixed with discharge and leak from their private parts. Now you could say this is just like literal discharge that women get, which is gross and nasty, and I'm not going to go into detail on that. Or you could say it's semen. If it is semen, then that's just an interesting little thing there. That's one of the weaker things, but I just think this is hilarious. And this is one of the things that they're made to drink fetid water. So you're going to be the idea of boiling liquid as a punishment of Gehenna comes from that. That's not actually the passage I was looking for. So I didn't go over the Isnad problem today because I went over that in David's live stream. Here is one of the other ones. So we get that Balaam is one of the Gentile prophets. So there are 7 Gentile prophets in the world, of which Balaam is one of them. We also get and Job. So Job is specifically a prophet in the Talmud. He's not a prophet whatsoever in the Bible, but he is a prophet of the Talmud. You don't get this type of stuff in the Bible proper. Balaam is in a couple passages described as the prophet like Moses, a prophet that came like Moses. Now, the rabbi's reasoning of that is kind of stupid and silly, but that's how he's described. So you have Balaam there being a Gentile prophet, and prophecy is supposed to return at the end times. It might be that Mohammad somehow put himself into the shoes of the prophet to come like Moses, or in the shoes of Elijah. And because prophecy is supposed to return during the end times, and Muhammad believed the end times were happening, because there are hadith about how one of the boys in his entourage won't grow into adulthood before the end comes. And then there is the thing about the women of the tribe of Dua that are having their butts jiggle as they march around their altar. That happening is supposed to happen immediately. That can't happen anymore. It's obviously a false prophecy because Muslims killed both those people and they destroyed that shrine. But Muhammad seems to think like, hey, the end is nigh. Jesus is about to come back. I am the final prophet. The reason why I'm the final prophet is because there's not any need for a future prophet, because prophecy is about to end. It returned with me after the Fatra, after the period of waiting, which is also in the Jewish sources and the Jewish idea and what they think about it, where there is this period from the ceasing of the previous prophets to the Messiah is a period of no prophetic lineage, which is interesting. So you got the failed prophecy there. You got multiple failed prophecies. The boy obviously died and we're still here. So unless this is the end times, the Islamic end times, then that just doesn't make any sense. Here you have Gabriel as the Holy Spirit, which Muslims like to use this apologetic. So if you're using this apologetic, it's coming from the Jews. If you're not using this apologetic, it's still coming from the Jews. So the Holy Spirit being Gabriel. In the Ascension of Isaiah, which is slightly before Muhammad and maybe contemporary to him, this is one of the more debated passages, if I'm remembering correctly. Let's check that real quick. Copy paste. When was this written? Oh man, I turn that off. Writing date. So this was written. Oh, never mind. I was wrong. Between the 1st century and the 2nd century AD. So very wrong. This is not one of the contemporary ones to Muhammad. This is one that severely predates Muhammad and Islam. So Gabriel, I know I skimmed it. If you actually want to read this, this is a very interesting document because it appears to have some later Christian alteration to it. But we have this here. And that Gabriel, the angel of the Holy Spirit, and Michael, the chief of the holy angels, and on the 3rd day will open the sepulchre. And I rejoiced in great joy, and we saw the angel of the Holy Spirit. He is the angel of the Holy Spirit. The angel of the Spirit appeared in this world. And after that, Joseph did not put her away, but kept Mary and did not reveal this matter to anyone. So this gets into some of the writings that are Trinitarian, because there is the Trinity within this section. But the angel of the Holy Spirit himself is, so this is not like real Christians, like some form of Gnostic or heretical or group that just doesn't understand the Trinity in general, like the relationship between the Trinity. Because this was written, I believe, during or before the time of Tertullian. So it's before the Trinity proper was circulating in Christian writings. So we have in the a Christian sect that is before Trinity formulation, we get that the angel of the Holy Spirit is specifically Gabriel, and that Jesus ascends into the 7th heaven. So again, we get another idea of the 7th heaven, and then angels sitting at the left hand of the Father. So continuing on with the connection between Jibril and Gabriel. The Holy One, blessed be he, said, "Who is the one who teaches the virtue of my children?" They said to him, "Master of the universe, it is Gabriel." So Gabriel is the one that specifically goes and teaches the book, Torah, to humanity. It's Gabriel himself that does it. It said to him, "If that is so, and he is a child of royalty, he should know the 70 languages that all kings' children learn." The context of this is he's talking about Joseph. And Joseph, whenever he is going to be a king in Egypt, they're saying, hey, this guy should know all these 70 languages that everyone, obviously everyone know back then, because there's just so many languages. So the angel Gabriel specifically is the one who came and taught him the 70 languages, but he cannot learn all of them. Gabriel then added one letter, the he, to Joseph's name from the name of the Holy One, blessed be he, and then he was able to learn all the languages. So he took one of the heads, because Yahweh contains 2 heads. He took one of the heads from Yahweh, gave it to Joseph, and then Joseph was able to take in all this knowledge, which is it's not super related as far as, like, I'm not aware of where that connection would be inside of Islam. But we have explicitly that Gabriel is the agent of learning, the agent of revelation from God to man to learn things on this earth, both from the Torah and just general knowledge. So we get in that, like, the Quran was revealed through Jibril to Muhammad, and we also get specific teachings to Muhammad through Jibril, such as in the Hadith, where he's said, like, hey, how is gender formed inside the womb? And Muhammad gives a Greek response and says that it is from the fluids mixing inside of the woman. If the man's fluid is more dominant, it will become a boy. If the woman's fluid is more dominant, it will become a female. That could mean whichever one orgasms first, that's the gender of the child, which, that is what it is. Or we could say that the dominance of the fluids, like that will overtake it. That's not true. It's false. But we know where it came from. It came from the Greeks. He says explicitly the reason that he was able to answer them in that way is because Gabriel gave him that knowledge, that information. So we get some of how Jibril is used in Islam is similar to how this is being used here, where he just randomly teaches him stuff he doesn't know. He needs to know it. Gabriel comes down and gives him knowledge of it. So it's not just revelation of the book. It's also a revelation of knowledge and information from God to understand what's happening around him. It's pretty amazing. Same thing with here. So he actually takes on an artisan's outfit and then fashions the first candelabrum. So Moses knows how to do it. So he's not just teaching words, He's teaching actions. He's teaching all of these things that they don't know how to do, which is just interesting. Brother, you have no idea. How many slides is this? This is 68 out of 200. We're gonna keep cooking. Please let us know if you publish these materials as a book. Thank you. I am working on it now. I have the booklet already. I'll put it in the description of the video of the stream after the fact. These slides and the content of it is already online. If you go to my Talmudic Dilemma video, you can watch that in the description of that, and in the pinned comment in that video, I have a link to both these slides, an older version of them, but these slides and of the booklet that explains the argument itself on why this is so bad for Islam. So we can see some of these, the milieu, like the cultural context of what the Quran was written in seems to be deeply Jewish. And that's kind of the point of all this, is that it's a Jewish thing. Also, the angels are the same. So you have Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael. You have Jibril, Michael, Israel, and Azrael. So Israfel is similar to that one, and Uriel and Azrael is the same. So you have the 4 archangels in Islam and in the Talmud. These are not from the Bible, mind you. This is from the Talmud. So again, this content, pretty much all the content I'm presenting in this slideshow, does not come from the Bible. It doesn't come from scripture. It comes from humans. It comes from humans during the period of the Fatra, where there is no divine revelation. Yet the Quran is using, the Islam is using that context, that information. So I read this already, but the Quran created from the universe and all that stuff. Did I read that one? I did. So the idols as witnesses. This one I want to go through a little bit more slowly than I did with the David, because I was kind of rushing at the end there. So we have that in Avodah Zarah 2a, and for those curious, read this entire passage. Go to the start of Avodah Zarah 2a and go to like 3b. That whole section is Islamic. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty awesome. This is like all of this stuff I have on screen for up until here is all this passage. So we'll go through this passage and see how many similarities there are between this and the Quran. So rather, Rav Huna, son of Rav Yehoshua, said that the one who says that the correct word is a dayan, with an ayin derived from the use here, they that fashion a graven image are all of them vanity, and their delectable things shall not profit, and their own witnesses see not nor know. This is again Eid. This is a different grammatical form than adults, which is usually the plural of witnesses. So this is again the same root as what is being used in the Shahada, from the Hebrew to Aramaic to Arabic. So this is just interesting in and of itself. This demonstrates that the objects of idol worship will serve as witnesses against their worshippers. So in the Quran, I have 4 passages here, but on the day of resurrection, idol worshippers will have their idols come alive, be able to speak, and then condemn them for worshiping them. Pretty amazing. What in the world? And who is further astray than those who, instead of Allah, pray to those who do not hear their prayer until the day of resurrection? So on the day of resurrection, they can hear prayers and are unconscious for the prayer, of their prayer. And when mankind is gathered, will become enemies for them and will become deniers of having been worshipped. They will deny the accusation that they were actually worshipped. They will be witnesses against the worshippers. And on the day we gather them together, we will say to those ascribed partners, where are those you claim to be partners? Then they will have no excuse except that they will say, by Allah or Lord, we were never idolaters. This is also in this passage in Zaram. See how they lie against themselves, and the thing they devised has failed them. On that day when we gathered them together, and all those who ascribed partners, stand back, you and your partners, and we separated them one from the other, and their partners say, it was not us you worshipped. He said, you have chosen any idols instead of Allah. the love between you is only in the life of this world. Then on the day of resurrection, you will deny each other and curse each other, and your dwelling will be the fire, and you will have no helpers. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. The Rambam practically copied Islam. There is a lot of stuff. Whenever I've been researching this, whenever I look up a material, it's either Rashi or Rambam. Like Moses Maimonides, that dude just, I don't know, man. He grew up in a Muslim society, so he had the influence there from the Muslims. But all he's doing is commenting on the Mishnah and the Gemara. Like, he's commenting on the Talmud, but his commentary on the Talmud sounds an awful lot like Islam. And I really want to bring up his quotations a bunch in these type of presentations, but it would expand the content too much. And it doesn't really matter because it's after Islam. So even if you're like, oh, well, he's basically just a Muslim Jew, even though he's like the most important rabbinic authority in Judaism, his rabbinic authority, like his doctrines, his teachings, largely speaking, line up with Islam. It's pretty amazing. Yet we also see that before Islam. So we see it after Islam, which is, that nothing special, but we see it before Islam, and that's the big problem. And whenever I go through the stories, that's whenever people are like, oh yeah, I can see that. I want to go through the theology, because most people know the stories and they're just easier to dismiss. But whenever your entire theology has its roots inside of inside of the Talmud, inside of Jewish writing, inside of Midrash, what do you do with that? I don't see it. I don't understand how, like, if you go through, because I have this material online, if you really want to get the slide deck and just go through it and compare them and read the context of it, I don't know how you continue to be a Muslim. It's anyway. In the future, the Holy One, blessed be He, will bring a Torah scroll and place it in his lap and say, anyone who engaged in its study should come and take his reward. Immediately, the nations of the world will gather together and come intermingled with each other, as it is stated, all the nations are gathered together, and let the peoples be assembled. The Holy One, blessed be He, will say to them, do not enter before me intermingled, rather let each and every nation enter with their scholars. As it is stated, let the peoples lumen be assembled. This is again the Ummah. The lay there is a prepended thing for grammar. The Umin, here the Ummah, that's the peoples. Let them be assembled, and the term Leum means nothing other than kingdom, as it is stated. The Gemara asks, but is it possible for there to be intermingling before the Holy One, blessed be He, that it should be necessary for each nation to stand and be addressed separately? Rather, the nations are instructed to stand separately so they will not become intermingled with each other, in order that they will each hear what He says to them. So we are going to be judged independently as nation groups before God. So every nation is going to have their scholars to defend them on Judgment Day. And we are going to be competing against each other when it comes to salvation. He's going to ask us questions and ask whether or not we followed faithfully or not. And then each person group will be judged separately, one from the other. That's in the Quran. The idea of, God could have made us all one people group, but decided to leave us separate, gave us all independent books that were different, when He could have given us all the same book, all the same language, and all made us all one group and saved everyone. He deliberately chose not to. It's not because of our free will, it's because of His choice to damn us, because Allah kind of hates humanity in a way. That's kind of Jewish, man. Kind of Jewish. Yeah. So, Judgment Day continuing. The nations will say before God, Master of the universe, did you give us the Torah and we did not accept it? Since we never received the Torah, why are we being judged for not fulfilling its mitzvah, its law? The Gemara answers, or Gemara asks, and can one say that they were never offered the Torah? But isn't it written in the description of giving the Torah? And He said, the Lord came from Sinai and rose from Seir unto them, and it is written, God comes from Teman and the Holy One from Mount Paran. And the sages asked, what did God require in Seir and what did He require in Paran? The Torah was not given in those locations. And Rabbi Yohanan says, this teaches that the Holy One, blessed be He, took the Torah around to every nation and those who speak every language, such as the Edomites in Seir and the Ishmaelites in Paran, the Arabs. But they did not accept it until He came to the Jewish people, and they accepted it. If the other nations all rejected the Torah, how can they excuse themselves by claiming that it was never offered to them? There's also one of the defenses inside of the Quran. But every nation on the planet will get a Torah in their language to make them responsible for the teaching of law, for the understanding of law, for the understanding of how you live in accordance with God's decrees. This is the doctrine of Kitab. This is the doctrine of the heavenly tablets. This is the doctrine of the mother of the book given to every people group that we will be judged by on how well we followed it on Judgment Day. This is all still from the exact same passage. We have not changed passages yet. It's crazy. So is the average religious Jew aware of this? Does it affect the way Jews treat Muslims? Honestly, I'm not sure. Most Jews, most Muslims, most Christians aren't really aware of what's in their holy books. The average religious person is religiously illiterate, both of other people's faiths and of their own faith. I don't think most Jews would know what most Muslims believe, and vice versa. I don't think most Jews even know fully what they believe. Most Christians don't do that either. So I'm not like throwing stones or shade there. Just people are generally speaking lazy and don't want to read or learn. And we don't want to learn each other. We don't want to try to understand each other. So I don't know. Is ultimately my first answer is I don't know. My second answer would be off of vibes, and it would be You might be able to make a case because most Jews, generally speaking, don't have a problem with Muslims, which is wild because Muslims in their end times theology believe that all Jews have to be killed. But that's its own issue. You might be able to say that like there's the Jews of Yathrib in the time of Muhammad. Whenever Muhammad was quoting the Quran to them, and they're like, yeah, that sounds like our book, and they accepted him. We have testimony from the Jewish sources, whether or not you think they're reliable is its own question. But from the Jewish or from the Quran, the Islamic sources, we have that Jews heard the Quran and converted to Islam. So the Quran was close enough to their own understanding of Judaism that they converted, that they believed that he was actually a prophet. And it seems to be the reason why that happened is because the Quran is mostly from the Talmud and from the rabbinic tradition. Because the rabbinic tradition was the standard for Jews at his day, any Jew that was a doomsdayer who believed prophecy was coming back, they would have likely accepted Muhammad. They had no reason not to. I could see an explanation of Muhammad actually convincing Jews who practiced rabbinic tradition more than biblical tradition, that he might be a prophet. Now, once they start questioning him, they realize that he's an idiot, and they laugh at him, they make fun of him. You get all the stuff with the cow, like some of the Jews are fine with him and some of the Jews are laughing at him, and he's really upset with the Jews that are laughing at him, but he's not fully condemning the Jews yet until way later when all the Jews are going to war against him. And that comes around towards the end of his life after he's already like slaughtered Jewish tribes. So yeah. Islam says it's an explanation, correction of what came before, so they see a lot in common, but there will be some very important differences between Islam and Judaism. So that's contradiction with the Hadith. I guess it depends on if you subscribe to the Hadith or not, and what like school of Islam you're from. But there's like the marching orders of Hamas, like from the river to the sea. That whole idea of the Jewish genocide comes from Islam, comes from that Hadith specifically. They quote that Hadith, and that's their interpretation of it. I know that Islam is not monolithic in their belief system. I'm making generalities. To my knowledge, that is the majority of the schools have that view. If I'm wrong, you can correct me. You can show what schools actually hold the other view. But it's also in Lukid Charter. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Don't need to get stuck on that. So we have the Torah being given to every language group, every people group, and they will be judged by it. They are separated based on what they received of it and what they did of it. That is Quranic. Rather, this is what they say. Did we accept the Torah and then not fulfill its mitzvah? The Gemara asks, but this itself serves as the refutation of their own claim, as one can respond, why didn't you accept it? Rather, this is what the nations of the world say before him. Master of the universe, did you overturn the mountain above us like a basin, and we did still not accept the Torah as you did for the Jewish people? So this also gets back into another passage inside of the Quran. It's in Surah 2. Might have to search for this. Mountain above Israel. So in Surah 263, we have that when we made a covenant with you and caused the mountain to tower above you, hold fast to what we have given you and remember what is in it so that you fear Allah. Well, the problem is this never happened. The other problem is it happened in the Talmud. So, as written, they stood at neither part of the mount, and Rav Dimi Bar Hama says, this is just a rabbi. This is a rabbi's statements inside of the commentary. The verse teaches that the Holy One, blessed be He, overturned the mountain, Mount Sinai, above the Jews like a basin, and He said to them, if you accept the Torah, excellent, and if not, there under the mountain will be your burial. So he's threatening the Jews to accept the Torah, accept the covenant. That's directly in the Quran. This is from a rabbi specifically. So it's not from the Mishnah. It's not from the oral Torah. It's not from Moses. This is specifically, anyway, this is specifically from a rabbi. And yet the Quran quotes it as if it is historical fact. Nowhere do we see this in history until the rabbis. You don't see this in the Targums. You don't see this in any of the previous writings. This was invented in the Talmud, yet the Quran treats it as if it's true. Why? Why? Like, it's crazy. So, let's go back to the Judgment Day bit. Yeah, here's where we left off. Current slide. So instead, the Holy One, blessed be He, says to the nations, let the witnesses come and from among you testify that the Jewish people fulfilled the Torah in its entirety. Let Nimrod come and testify, and Jacob and Abraham. So this is like the chain of testimony that you see a lot in the Quran, where he's trying to justify a point of view, and he goes through this prophet, this prophet, this prophet, this prophet, and they all agree with the same thing. We see this in the prophets in Surah 26 quite a bit. You also see it in a lot of the other surahs. So that seems to be fairly Talmudic. They do this type of thing a lot, where they jump around from context to context, even within the tractates. The tractates are based on a single context. Like Nida is based on like marriage and the laws of marriage and intercourse and all that type of stuff. And yet it also jumps into like random off the wall type conversations that have nothing to do with it. So you jump from context to context, even within these different passages. So you get the same thing happening here in the Quran. You jump from context to context, and the cow does it a lot. I think all of the cow is Talmudic in origin. I'm slowly working on that and working through it verse by verse. But from like abrogation to the mountain above them to the cow itself with Samael, all of that seems to be Talmudic. So instead, the Holy One, blessed be He, says to the nations, let the witnesses come. And then read that the Gentiles said before him, Master of the universe, it's a Quranic title, give us the Torah afresh, and we will perform its mitzvah. The Holy One, blessed be He, says to them in response, fools of the world, do you think you can request this? Who takes pains on Shabbat, even eat on Shabbat. So you have to work in this world in order to enjoy the rest of the next world, which gets into the gardens being a paradise for the people. I kind of want to go through that right now. This verse teaches that today is the time. Today in this world is the time to do the law, but tomorrow in the world to come, it is not the time to do them. It's actually. Do I want to go through the rest of this? I did this on David's stream. We'll come back to the resurrection stuff. But I want to go through sex in paradise. Where's that? Actually, before we go to sex in paradise, this is a problem in the Quran. Both because it's contradiction and it's plagiarism. Who do you think transferred the Talmud into Quran? Rabbis, imams? Muhammad. I'm not a Muhammad mythicist. I should say that at the outright. I'm not a Muhammad mythicist. I do think that Muhammad actually got this material on trade routes. I don't think he was teaching in the Hijaz. I don't think the standard Islamic narrative is true in any shape, form. I don't think Mecca existed. I don't think Medina, like Mecca existed, but it was like a backwater. It was not a major trade hub. It was not, obviously it's not a major trade hub because of the geography around it. Like there's cliffs, there's mountains. You wouldn't be trading through that location. There's no water other than Zamzam, and Zamzam's terrible water source for like a major trade hub. There's no access to ports. You're not near Yemen. You're not near Egypt. You're not near any of that. Like, it's the worst place you can possibly imagine for a trade route. So I don't take the standard Islamic narrative. I do think that Muhammad actually existed. We have independent testimony. We have Jacobi. We have multiple early attestation to Muhammad's existence, him conquering, him being a warlord, conquering the northern Arabia area and the Levant. So, but actually it says that he was alive while conquering. So, what we make of that with the Islamic narrative and how all that relates, I'm still working on. You do have a passage in the Quran that talks about how there's two seas. There's a freshwater sea and there's a salty water sea. And of the two seas, you get ornaments, you get decorations for your people, and you also get food. That's interesting. In Mecca, and he's talking to the people of Mecca. He's talking to the pagans. So he's not talking about people far away. He's talking to his audience. He says to his audience, you people are getting food and pearls and shells from the freshwater and salty water seas. Okay? The only freshwater sea anywhere close to the Middle East is the Sea of Galilee, specifically the Sea of Galilee. And the Sea of Galilee is bordered by two salty watered seas, the Dead Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. So whether or not you want to say he's west of the Galilee and it's Mediterranean, that would still make it northern Israel. Or if it's Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea, which doesn't make sense for fish, that would still be Israel. I think it's more likely to be Bethel or in that region of Bethel because you have fishing and merchandise and all that stuff. If it's an actual trade hub and he's an actual trader, he might have just lived in northern Israel, in Syria. Or he, like, if you actually take the Islamic narrative and he was teaching in the Hijaz, you could say because he traveled to Syria, he got the knowledge of those freshwater seas and salty water seas with fishing and boats and all that stuff. Because there's a lot of stuff about boats in the Quran, but he's speaking to an audience that has never ridden on a boat. Why? So, like, if you want to say he got that knowledge somewhere else on his trade routes and he went back to his home city, which had barely 1,000 people in it, if that, and he's talking to these people who had never seen a freshwater sea. Hey, there's a freshwater sea. Well, you guys eat. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I'm not saying that couldn't have happened. The guy was not very intelligent in general. It very well could have happened, and he could have just not known or not realized the implications of him telling these people these things. Or like, so it's like, what are the possible scenarios? One, it is a Jewish book that was written by Jews. And then Muslims, like a cult leader, took it on and he didn't change any of the content. He just converted it into Arabic, sometimes well and sometimes very poorly. Or you can say it was actually Mohammad. The ear just put it all in. And he lived in the Levant in some way, whether it's Petra or Bethel or Jerusalem or even like East and Persia. You can make the case that he's still a real human who lived in an area that had access to Talmudic information directly, because he's writing in the period right after this material was compiled. So the Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud specifically, because that's what it's quoting from, was compiled in the 500s, mid to late 500s. Muhammad is writing in the early 600s. So we have 100 years or less between whenever it was compiled and systemized and whenever Muhammad's writing. So the oral culture is where the real meat of the Quran's coming from, but it is heavily influenced by the Jews. So whether or not we have rabbis writing it and it's a Jewish Quran, or we have Muhammad writing it and it is a Jewish influenced Quran, or he was like a Gentile who wanted to be a Jew and then was rejected by them and they got butthurt and decided to kill him. Hard to say. Why there's so much material that sounds like they're in Jerusalem in the Quran. Like, it also talks about how you can see the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Quran. It says that. It says, go out in a walk and see the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah are hundreds of miles away from Mecca. Why in the world did he say, go out and check for the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah? So either he's mistaking other ruins for Sodom and Gomorrah, or they're in the Levant near Sodom and Gomorrah. If they're in Jerusalem, you can very casually see the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah. So I think there's actually a good bit of evidence for a Jerusalem writing of most of the material of the Quran. The biography stuff is hard. The stuff with the Sunni Shiite split is hard. The stuff with our witness attestation of him being an Arab is hard. So how you square the content of the Quran and the independent testimony we have, the criterion of embarrassment, and the biography material, how you put those together will be what the Quran is to you. I'm not settled myself. I have no idea. I'm still weighing the options. But those are, to me, I think those are the reasonable options, if that makes sense. Brother. Anyway, so Islamic origins discussed as a possible connection to the interesting. I'll look into that. Did you know that Musa is not the brother of Aaron in the Quran? I feel like he's called the brother of Aaron. I feel like he's explicitly called the brother of Aaron in Surah 20. Hold on, let me bring up Surah 20. Taha goes through the passage where Allah's in the fire. And I'm pretty sure whenever he comes out of the fire, it's also one of the ones like Muslims who say that Allah can't enter into creation. Surah 20 has him directly entering into creation in the fire, speaking to Moses. You also get that, I think, in Surah 4, it talks about how he revealed himself to Moses in the list of the prophets. He says Moses is special because I myself revealed myself to him. So the Quran does indeed affirm that Allah can enter into reality. But I think in here, it talks about Aaron, and it says your brother Aaron. I think Surah 2 also has that whenever it mentions that he grabs him by the beard and drags him. Which is in my slideshow. I can just go to that real quick. Let me find the cow. I'm pretty sure he is called the brother of Aaron. So that is. Oh, this is the Quran. Yeah. So Oh yeah, he said, "Oh son of my mother, do not clutch my beard or my head. I was afraid that you would say you have caused division." So here is explicitly Aaron being called the brother of Moses, just for your own edification. Now, Miriam and Mary, that is absolutely a thing. That's a problem. That is a deep problem. I think there's a bunch of times in the Quran where he's like Aaron is explicitly called the brother of Musa. But anyway, so let's do the children nursing and then go back to the cow. Some other things like the flood waters boiling. The idea that the boiling water, I don't know why this is white. The idea that the boiling water happened is Talmudic. It's also in the same section that is quoted for all the other stuff with Judgment Day, which is fun. So the oven gushing forth with water, and the water is boiling the people. This is directly from Rosh Hashanah. There's a lot of stuff from Rosh Hashanah. If you read Rosh Hashanah, it sounds deeply Islamic. They sinned with boiling heat, and they were punished with boiling heat. They sinned with the boiling heat of the sin of forbidden sexual relations, and they were punished with the boiling heat of scalding waters. It's talking about if you go to the context of 12a4 here, it's talking about the flood. So, and then it continues on with the context, and it's talking about the flood, which implies that the word abated means cooled. This indicates that that at first the waters of the flood had been scalding hot. So the oven boiling over with the flood in the Quran is directly from the Talmud. We have the names of Allah. Korah's wealth is a really strong one. So now Korah was among Moses' people, but he oppressed them, and we gave him so much treasure that the stores of it would have been a burden for a troop of mighty men. When his own people had said to him, "Do not boast. Indeed, Allah does not love those who boast." And in Piscayim 19a, this is what I was reading whenever I found the magic letters. Rabbi Elazar said, this is referring to a person's money that stands him up on his own 2 feet. Rabbi Levi said, the keys of Korah's treasuries were a load of 300 strong might mules, and they were all keys and locks made of leather. So rather than being made of metal, they're made of leather to be lighter. And still, he had so much treasures that it took 300 mules to drag the keys of it. So, Korah being wealthy, again, this is not from the Bible. This is from the Talmud. It's pretty cool. Welcome, brother. Baruch haba. So, we have children nursing. This is one of my favorites, both because it is either from the Jews or from the Greeks. Aristotle says that the time of pregnancy and weaning, specifically the time of weaning, is anywhere from 12 months to 18 months. I weaned both my children at 12 months, and they're fine. So, 12 months works. But you have a couple other Greek authors that give no time period, or they give a time period of 24 months. I do have a reference to that. I don't have it currently pulled up, but there are Greeks who talk about it. So whether or not this was plagiarized from the Greeks or plagiarized from the Jews, it's kind of hard to say, but both people groups are saying the same thing here. Now, mind you, this is also not necessarily true. So the fact that it has this is interesting. But there's two different problems. There's the plagiarism, and there's a contradiction. So we have in Surah 31 that the weaning period is 2 years, 24 months. And in Surah 46, it says that the bearing and weaning is 30 months. Anyone can do some quick maths. What is 24 plus 9? And is it 30? It's not 30. The adult breastfeeding. I haven't looked into that. Let me add that to my list of things to check. Do you know if that's in the Talmud? Talmud adult breastfeeding. Okay, that's in my list now. Okay. Adult breastfeeding. Yeah, so the math of 24 plus 9 is 33. Why is it that the Quran, Joe also said it, why is it the Quran says 30 here? So you have two options as a Muslim. Put your head in the sand and ignore this. Or say that the bearing of children, pregnancy, is only 6 months. I don't know how many people have seen a 6-month preemie baby. Most of them die even with modern technology. Especially back in the desert, they would not have been being born at 6 months. The Muslims they love to say that Aisha was 9, but she was like mature. Like she was like the equivalent of like a 16-year-old today. because they matured faster back then, which is biologically impossible to be that mature by that age. Which is also not true because they had malnutrition. But here we have a contradiction within the Quran. So this is just a contradiction of the length of weaning, and it's from the Jews. So yeah, babies aren't even noticed until 3 months. You get the bump in the early second trimester. So it's not just, it's like 3 to 5 months, depending on how skinny the woman is to begin with. But yeah, it is in 6 months is incredibly small. Incredibly small. So if you were to say like, this is true, how? Literally how? I don't get it. Yeah. I don't think the monkey story. I've surprised myself so many times by finding things in the Talmud that I didn't think would be in there. Like Allah having 2 right hands, God having 2 right hands is in the Talmud. I was blown away by that. So I'm in a Discord server I run for the Islamic Dilemma, and there are people there that are helping me with this project. And I made a joke about God having 2 right hands. They're like, "Oh, it's probably Jewish." And then I was like, "You know what? For the fun of it, I'll just search it up." And then I found it. So I gave that at the beginning of the stream. There's 2 right hands inside of the Talmud. Is there any historical evidence of outside Islam? When you have the tombs, but whether or not they actually house the bones of them, it's its own question. Beyond that, I don't think there is. I'm not an expert in the archaeology of Islam. That'd be more of a question for some other folk. But as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's that much. There's not that much historical evidence for most of the standard Islamic narrative. We do have textual evidence of Islam's existence when it came about and a rough location of where they conquered. But as far as the who, what, where, and whens, it's a little murky outside of the Islamic record. As far as I'm aware, I could be wrong on that. I would double check that with someone who's actually a scholar in that area. So the sages are teaching that a child may continue to nurse until the age of 24. I'm sure everyone who's looked at this page long enough has read the rest of the red text. But yeah, it's just 24 months is the age of nursing inside of the Talmud. So we have Joseph's beauty is pretty fun. The Queen of Sheba is beautiful one. Let's go through the cow real quick. So, as I mentioned earlier, Samael is the equivalent of Iblis. He has a lot of stuff in common with all of this stuff. Hello. Hello. Talk to people helloing to each other. Any 4-year-long pregnancies. I doubt it. Most of the biographical material about Mohammad is actually original. But I'll add that too. 4-year pregnancy. If it is, brother, no. So for those who don't know, Mohammad apparently was his mom was pregnant with him for 4 years, according to some of the sources. Yeah. How does that happen? Anyway, so we have the Rabbi Eliezer, and this is one of the. Hey, we hit 2K during the live stream. Thank you all, everyone, for subscribing. It means a lot to me. We hit 2,000 subs. Awesome. So, Samael, Iblis. Samael is interesting because he's the father of the demons. He has intercourse to have the demons, like they're born that way. He is the one who's responsible for tempting all of humanity. There's a lot of parallels between Samael and Iblis. The deeper you go into that rabbit hole, the closer you get to that conclusion. Where here we have that Rabbi Jehuda said, Samael entered into it, and it was lulling to mislead Israel, as it is said, the oxen with its owner. Moses said to Aaron, what hast thou done to this people? They hast made them unruly like a woman who is unchecked owing to immorality. There's a lot of the Jewish sources that are not very friendly to women. He said to Moses, I saw what they did to her, and I feared very greatly, and he became strengthened with his might, and he burnt the calf with fire and powdered it like the dust of the earth, and he cast its dust upon the face of the waters, specifically. It's not the face of water, as it is in the Bible, because in the Bible he actually has drinking water that he pours the ashes into, and he makes the people take sips of. In the rabbinic tradition, he's casting it over the face of like a lake or a river, or like a body of water. So here we have in the Surah, he said, indeed, we have tested your people in your absence as summary has misled them. As summary is a problem for the Quran in multiple ways. Summary could mean Samaritan, which would be an anachronism. It would, like, the Samaritans didn't exist for thousands of years. Or it could be a scribal error, and it should actually be Samael. The root is fairly similar. It's pretty close to Samael. So it may be that this R and this I at the end, if that is changed to an L, that would just be the same name. It might be a scribal error that created a summary. So it's either, and the reason why I would point more towards a scribal error being as some like being Samael is because we were laden with the burdens of the ornaments of the people, then threw them in. So again, the ornaments of the people are the earrings. If you read this section in for the Rabbi Eliezer, you have explicitly that the earrings of the men were used to create the golden calf, and a golden tablet that had the name of God written on it was thrown into the fire that became the calf. So we have them burdened with the ornaments of the people, and they threw them in, and that was what Asimri proposed. This is what Samuel tempted them into doing. Then he produced for them a calf, a saffron color, which gave forth a lulling sound. So Samuel entered into it, and it was lulling to mislead Israel. Here we have the cow lulling to mislead Israel, done by Samuel and as Samari. That could be a scribal error that just is the same thing. I did not. It just keeps going. So we have, and then also at the end of it, we will burn it and we'll scatter its dust over the sea, specifically the sea. So that is similar terminology here and here. So you have many parallels in this section, in this passage between the two. It's Cam. What are some other ones that are fun? Oh, this one's fun. This one's really fun. So in the Surah, we get this random thing about people being turned into apes and pigs, specifically the Jews. So, and you know about those whom you broke the Sabbath, how we said to them, be apes, despised and hated. In Sanhedrin 109, A1, we have, what did they do? Let us build a tower, ascend to heaven, cleave it with axes, and then its waters might gush forth. They split up into three parties. One said, let us ascend and dwell there. The second said, let us ascend and worship the gods. And the third said, let us ascend and wage war with God. The one that said, let us wage war, we turned into apes, spirits, devils, and demons. And that faction that said, let us ascend to the top of the tower and wage war, became apes, spirits, demons, and female demons. So, we have specifically those who are waging war against God being turned into apes. Very strange. Of all the animals, why is it apes for both? Now, the Talmud also has more in its list. It has spirits, devils, and demons. So the jinn, essentially. But it has specifically, we made them apes. Huh. Interesting. There's a lot of stuff like that, man. A lot of stuff. Oh, here's one. It's fun. So there is this idea of a prohibition within the Talmud of bal tashkit, which is like you shouldn't destroy anything. You shouldn't be wasteful. You should not be flippant with the resources God and people have given you. You need to take care of it dutifully. Well, here we have that there's a couple different passages talking about this idea. And this is actually one of the places I have Rambam listed for one of his quotations because he sums up the thing really nicely. You get all of these from the Talmud, and he's summing it up here. One who breaks vessels, tears clothing, demolishes a building, stops up a spring, or destroys food, transgresses the prohibition of Baal Hashit. Or Taskut. So, interesting. Destroys food. If you're wasteful of food, God hates you. You are going to be destroyed. You are going to be in this state of deep sin. In Surah 6, Surah 7, Surah 17, God hates the wasteful. The context of 7 is also of eating and drinking. So the wasteful here is specifically do not be wasteful of food, which you can point back to like Ramadan and the massive amount of food waste in Ramadan and how they are the brothers of Satan's. It's interesting. Yeah. The Samaritan idea is interesting. It's basically another pitchfork. If it's actually just Samaritan, then that's fine. It's still showing that the Quran is false because it can't possibly be Samaritan. And if you're showing that it is Samuel, the Quran is still false because it's copying and because it has a scribal error. It's not perfectly preserved. So this is one of the other arguments for that. Yeah. So, reading the comments real quick. There's a lot of stuff. Ooh, let's go through this section. I'm gonna go blow my nose real quick. So God having arbitrary mercy, and it's going to get into all of the stuff with the Garden of Eden. Oh man, I love this section. So the Holy One, this is in Deuteronomy Rabbah 2:12. So it said the Holy One, blessed be He, to Moses. And again, the blessed be He's and all of these titles of God that is similar between the Quran and the Talmud, they're all over the place, man. It's crazy how often it happens. You basically can't quote any section of the Talmud without finding at least one of these. It's amazing. The style, the content of the Talmud matches pretty closely with the Quran. I need to do more stuff with the textual criticism between the Talmud and the Quran. I think that's where it's really gonna like the rubber hits the road type material. Obviously the story is being copied one for one, which we can go through a couple of the it's getting a little late, I'm getting a little tired. So I might go through the paradise stuff and go through one of the stories, like the Abraham smashing idol story. And we can show, okay, yes, this has the same style, but also has the same content, has the same theology. It's deeply the same. That's why I really want to get people who know the material better than I do, because I've only been studying it for a couple months, know the material way better than I do, who can actually show at a deeper level in the Hebrew, in the Aramaic, and in the Arabic, that how similar these things actually are. So that being said, let's go through this little passage. So said the Holy One, blessed be He, to Moses, I will favor whom I favor. Upon the one who has credit with me, I will have mercy. I will act with him with the attribute of mercy. One who does not have credit with me, I will act with him as a free gift. I will act mercifully with him as a free gift. Again, this word for mercy is Rahman or Rachem. It is the same word for mercy, the title of God in the Quran. It's I think the most common title of Allah in the Quran is either Rab or Ar-Rahman. And you have Rahman all over the place within the Talmud. But we have specifically this arbitrary mercy. He has mercy on whoever he feels like. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Bayatus, in the name of Rabbi Yehuda bar Simon, it is written, why do you lead us astray, Lord, from your ways? When you wished, you placed in their heart to love, and when you wished, you placed in their heart to hate. Again, lead us astray. This exact phraseology is found in the Quran, and it's a cognate. So it's the similar wording. So it's not like this is different words been applied. It's the same words used in the same way. You're being led astray from the way. And then the explanation from this is Bereshit Rabbah, this is Genesis Rabbah. When you wished, you placed in their heart to love, and when you wished, you placed in their heart to hate. God is the one that's controlling our emotions, controlling our thoughts, controlling our destiny, because it's written in the book of life or the book of death, because there's 3 books open on Judgment Day, according to Rosh Hashanah 17b. So you have those 3 books open, one of the books for life, one of the books for death, one of the books for the actions of the people in order to judge them. So here we have God arbitrarily choosing who goes where. And that is carried over into the Quran, into Islamic theology. So lots of fun stuff there. And let's get into Jannah, but the sleep being death. In the Quran, it talks about how those who sleep die. Like your soul has to be put back into your body whenever you awake again. So we have in Bukhot specifically, save me from evil mishap and evil diseases. Let neither bad dreams nor troubling thoughts disturb me. May my bed be flawless before you, that my progeny should not be flawed. Enlighten my eyes in the morning, lest I sleep in the sleep of death, never to awaken. Blessed are you, O Lord, who gives light to the whole world in his glory. One who awakens, he recites, my God, the soul you have placed within me is pure. You formed it within me. You breathed it into me. You guard it while it is within me. One day you will take it from me, and I will restore it within me in the time to come. As long as the soul is within me, I thank you, O Lord, my God, and my ancestors, master of all the worlds, Lord of all souls. Again, master of all the worlds is literally Rab Olim or Alam, and that's the exact same word in Hebrew or Arabic. Blessed are you, O Lord, who restores souls to lifeless bodies. So this does have some aspect of the resurrection language in it, but we do have specifically sleep being this part in the context right before it here, and in other contexts, other places, other passages, it does talk about sleep being death. In Rosh Hashanah, it makes a similar type language, similar type statements. So you also get dreams being prophecies. And this is in Bereshit Rabbah earlier on in the passage. Yes, sleep being death is in the Quran, right? Right. That's the problem. That is the problem. Dreams being prophecy is also in the Quran, and it also comes from the Talmud. So, Rab said there are 3 slumbers: the slumber of sleep, the slumber of prophecy, and the slumber of a trance. Rabbi Hanani Hanana Bar Nechas. No, wow, I'm getting too tired. Yitzchak, whatever. There are 3 microcosms. Sleep is a microcosm of death, a dream is a microcosm of prophecy, and Shabbat is a microcosm of the world to come. Rabbi Evan adds another 2. The orb of the sun is a microcosm of the supernaural light. Torah is a microcosm of the supernaural wisdom. The wisdom of God and the light of God. So we have sleep being a form of death, dream being a form of prophecy, and rest, Shabbat, being a form of the world to come. Because the world to come is restful. And it's not just restful, it is pleasurable in a variety of ways. So let's get into Jannah, which comes from the Garden of Eden. Gan, Idan. So Ganna, Jannah, they're the same words, Hebrew cognate. Yeah, so again, dreams being prophecies, Islamic, Talmudic. So again, I'm not like the number of parallels between Talmud and between Quran is insane. It is, I'm still finding more stuff too. It's like hundreds of things that are paralleled. I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying 80%. I think it's actually around 80%. The more I find, that's more like becoming true. But it's anywhere from like 60% to 80% is the ballpark numbers I would give. But I'm leaning more towards the bullish number than the bearish number. So, Jannah be in heaven. And if one does so, recites Shema and prays, the verse says about him, as with fat and marrow, my soul shall be satisfied. And not only does he receive this world, but he inherits two worlds, this world and the world to come. So again, this language, this idea of the world to come, inheriting the world to come, is deeply Quranic. As it is stated, with lips of joy, my mouth praises you, the plural joy refers to two joys, that of this world and that of the world to come. The Gemara describes how after Rabbi Eliezer concluded his prayer, he said the following additional prayer. May it be your will, Lord our God, to cause you to dwell in our love and brotherhood, peace and friendship, and may you make our borders rich in disciples and cause us to ultimately succeed, that we will have a good end and hope. And you may set our portion in the Garden of Eden, and may you establish for us a good companion and a good inclination in your world. And may we rise early and find the aspiration of our hearts to fear your name, and may the satisfaction of our souls come before you. May you hear our prayers that we have spiritual contentment in this world for the best. So they have the Garden of Eden being paradise, being heaven, which is false. It's not in the Bible, but it is in the Quran. You also have a good companion in the Garden of Eden and a good inclination, meaning you can't sin. So an evil inclination is the sin nature. So they're begging for the sin nature to be removed and for them to live and find satisfaction in the Garden of Eden in the world to come. So the world to come is the Garden of Eden, and it is filled with a good companion, but also goes a little bit deeper. So three matters do not enter the body, yet the body benefits from them. They are washing, anointing, and usage. This term for usage, the tashmish, it is basically sex. You can use it as a euphemism for sex. So these are three things that do not enter the body yet benefit it. So washing your hands or your body, emulsion, ablution, anointing with oil, and sex. Three matters are microcosms of the world to come, and they are rest, the sun, or God's presence, the Shekinah, and usage, sex. The Gemara, so this is in the Mishnah. The Gemara asks, usage of what benefits the body is a microcosm of the world to come. If you say that it refers to conjugal relations, doesn't that weaken the body? Rather, it refers to usage of his orifice, relieving oneself. So you're going to poop in the garden. Three matters ease one's mind. They are the voice, sight, and smell. When they are pleasant and aesthetic. Three matters give a person comfort. They are a beautiful abode, the Garden of Eden, a beautiful wife, houris, and a beautiful vessels, glorified bodies, penises that don't wane. The Gemara elaborates, our fire is 1/6 the fire of Gehenna, honey 1/6 of manna, Shabbat 1/6 of the world to come, sleep 1/6 of death, and dreams is 1/6 of prophecy. So again, we have sleep being death, dreams being prophecy, beautiful women, beautiful abodes, Garden of Eden, and intercourse, and the fire of Gehenna. Because the blaze is also from Talmud. You also have in Yevamot and Sanhedrin that there is intercourse in the Garden of Eden. This is one of my favorite passages in the entire Talmud because it's so stupid and so disgusting. I can't believe it actually exists. So much more so than Jesus boiling in feces. So Rabbi Eliezer said, what is the meaning of that which is written? This now become bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. This teaches that Adam had intercourse with each animal and beast. In his search for his mate, and his mind was not at ease in accordance with the verse, and for Adam there was found no helpmate for him until he had intercourse with Eve. So Adam, he blasted some monkey cheeks, and he wasn't satisfied till he found Eve. So there's this idea of intercourse in the garden happening. So we're like, oh, well, does intercourse actually happen in the Garden of Eden in the Talmud? Yes. It's not just in the paradise passages, which we just went through. It's also in, we also get some similar things in like other apocryphal writings, like the second Enoch and whatnot. But we have intercourse explicitly in the Garden of Eden. So we also have that Rabbi Yohanan bar Hanana. Oh man, I cannot speak anymore. My daytime is 12 hours long, and the day Adam, the first man, was created was divided as follows. In the first hour of the day, his dust was gathered. In the second, an undefined figure was fashioned. In the third, his limbs were extended. In the fourth, the soul was cast into him. I think this might be a case for like embryology of the Quran. I know most of the embryology of the Quran comes from the Greeks, but there's also passages in the surahs don't match the Greeks that well. And the first hour, second hour, third hour, fourth hour, like those, the chain of events that caused this to happen, it feels slightly Quranic. It's not nearly as strong as some of these other passages, but to me, this like jives as Quran. In the fifth, he stood on his legs. In the sixth, he called out creatures by name. In the seventh, Eve was paired with him. This is also used as a euphemism. In the eighth, they arose to the bed too and descended four. Cain and Abel were immediately born. So they got and then immediately gave birth to twins. You know, that's again not biblical. None of this is biblical. But you know, and yeah. So the Genesis Rabbah 18 is also pretty wild. The serpent was cunning. The verse after this one should have said only the Lord God made for Adam and his wife garments. Rabbi Yeshua ben Korah said, it is to inform you what misdeed prompted that evil one to assail them. It is because it saw them engaging in the way of nature in the open, and it lusted for her. So, apparently the devil saw Eve and it just didn't wanted her. So, is there intercourse in the Garden of Eden? Is the Garden of Eden paradise? Is it the end? Is the world to come? Yes. Is that Islamic? Yes. So, I also have women are fields to be plowed. Just your women are a field for you, so go into your field as you will, and send before you and your souls, and fear Allah, and you know that you will meet him. I will slay Abel my brother, and I will take his twin sister from him, as it is said, and it came to pass when they were in the field. In the field means woman who is comparable to a field. So he is watching him. So in the story, in the Jewish version of it, Cain and Abel are twins that descend from Adam and Eve immediately. And then they also have twin sisters. And then Abel has one sister that is his. And then Cain has another sister that is his. And Cain wants Abel's closer related sister than his own sister. So he goes out and he sees Abel having intercourse with her. And then he goes out and he kills him to take the woman specifically. But here we have literally that, you know, the field means a woman to be plowed. You also have a ban on intercourse in certain ways. So you can't have anal intercourse and you can't have menstruation. So if there's blood or anus, you can't do it. In Subhan Abi Dawood 3904, we have the prophet said, if anyone resorts to a diviner and believes in what he says, or has intercourse with his wife when she is menstruating, or has intercourse with his wife through her anus, he has nothing to do with what has been sent down to Muhammad. So we have bans on the intercourse in the same ways, for the same reasons. Yeah. Also the four gardens. Yeah. 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 Right, that's the problem. It's not scripture, but it's appearing in the Talmud or in the Quran as scripture. That's the problem. That's absolutely the problem. I'm not saying that the Jews believe this stuff. The Jews, largely speaking, don't believe this. That's not the problem. I don't really care what the Jews do or don't believe. What I'm focused on is Islam and what Islam takes from them. So, yeah, that's the big issue there. The Gardens of Eden. The interesting bit about this passage is that it lists 4 things inside of the rivers. So you have fresh water, fresh milk, wine, and pure honey. And then second Enoch, which predates Muhammad by a long time. We also have in the third heaven, we saw paradise, which is the garden. And inside of the garden, we have every orchid tree and every fruit, and the exit leads to earth. So the Garden of Eden is not on earth. In the Quran, we get the Garden of Eden not on earth. And we get that it is a source of honey and milk, a source that produces oil and wine. So the difference there is oil and nothing. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. What's the difference? Milk, water. So oil and water. So that's the only difference between those two. Other than that, it is literally just the paradise of Eden. It's an eternal inheritance. So this is an apocryphal writing, predates Muhammad, predates Islam, has the exact same description of the Garden of Eden, both being in heaven, not being on earth, being an eternal inheritance for the believers after resurrection, and having 4 rivers, and 3 of the contents of the rivers is exactly the same, and only one of them is off. So, yeah. Yeah, man. There's so much more too. We haven't even get into any of the stories. I don't think I actually want to do the stories right now, but the stories themselves are pretty insane. Um, Going through more of the Judgment Day stuff is pretty cool. Yeah. So, that's not a typo. That is actually what it says in the original. I copied it verbatim from the text, so I didn't. It's not a typo. It's actually how it was spelled in Second Enoch. I'm like 90% sure. I can check Second Enoch real quick, but yeah, pretty sure it's what it's supposed to be. What it's written there. The lote trees, brother. Yeah, you also have the feeding of the coals. So I didn't bring that up. The feeding of the coals. So you get in the lote tree. Whoever occupies himself with Torah in this world, which is comparative of tonight, the Holy One, blessed be He, extends a thread of kindness over him in the world to come. So if you read the Torah, read the book, you will be saved, which is comparable to today. And by day, the Lord has commanded His kindness, and at the night, His songs with me. With regard to the same matter, Rabbi Levi said, anyone who pauses from words of the Torah to occupy himself with Monday conversation will be fed the coals of the broom tree. We have a parallel passage in Avodah Zarah. In the same, so again, if you read Avodah Zarah, start from 2a, go to 3b. That whole section, read it on your own. That whole section feels very Islamic. Then we also have Surah 37, the tree of Zakum, and they're eating the fruit of it and they have to drink boiling water. And this is a tree that grows in Syria. This is the snapdragon seed pods after they've already burst forward to reproduce. So they look like little tiny skulls. They're quite cute. The tree of Zakim has the head of Satan's here in 65. So the head of Satan's is what the fruit looked like. And it like burns them and rips them apart whenever they eat it. But in Syria, specifically, it grows all over the Mediterranean, but in Syria specifically, this tree grows. Does not grow anywhere near the Hejaz. Does not grow anywhere near Mecca. But I mean, hey, if he traveled to Syria, very well could have come from there. But yeah, man, there's a lot. Yeah, it did. There's a lot of discussion. A lot of discussion. Yeah, crazy. Okay, any last comments before we hop off for the night? last thoughts, questions? Oh. Okay, doesn't look like it. Well, thank you for coming out, everyone. We'll go live on this again next week. We'll talk about some of the stories. We'll see how similar the stories are between them. It's pretty crazy. So, thank you. Yeah, Syria and Persia, specifically Babylon, seems to be because just southwest of Babylon is a major trade station, but where Jews and Christians both lived and congregated, and some of like the Ebionite groups, so like the Torah observant Christians, are in those locations, which is interesting. So the fact that the Quran kind of affirms both Christianity and rabbinic Judaism at the same time means that their belief system lines a little bit closer to the Ebionites. Now it's different from the Ebionites. It's like 70% the same or so. But yeah, it does seem to come from some aspect of Babylon. But yeah, there's so much more to add. There's so much more to go through. I've only been doing it for a little bit. So we will do a deep dives into all of this, find it all, expose it all, and they will not have anything left by the end of this. So, may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you always. See you guys next time. Peace. Oh, wrong button. Haha. Bye.